It's Red Hot Radio. Spice FM 98.8 FM.
Namaste, Adab, Sat Sri Akal. It's Dr Anand here, starting a bit late because all our talk shows are end to end, bumper to bumper. I wish it should be a very interesting show. I always bring super interesting people. Boring people are not allowed to come within 100 yards of me. I've got a police, what's it called? People can't, when husband and wife fight and...
An injunction.
Injunction. I have an injunction for boring people. They can't come to the show. So here you go. And I'll put it on Facebook today. I've just sat in with Yawar discussing terrorism and France. It is very sad what's happening. It's really, really sad. On the one hand, I do agree that there's no need to jibe people and irritate people. But the people who are being jibed should also look, why are they teasing us? People need to understand. The Muslim community in France needs to understand, why are they against you? Why aren't they doing against Sikhs and Hindus and Jains and Buddhists and atheists and gays and transvestites and people who reassign their bodies? Which brings us neatly to our guest. Go on, tell us who our guest is and how you met, and go on, tell us.
Our guest is Faye Perdinham. Has got the name right?
Faye Perdinham.
Perdinham.
Perdinham, okay.
Yeah, Faye Louise. And I met Faye Louise in a pub. St Peter's Basin, and I have a casting agency for television.
Anyone for TV.
Anyone for
Keep
TV.
plugging, it's all right.
Yeah.
It's free.
a bit of publicity in there.
Is there anyone for TV?
Anyone who wants TV, here we are, yes.
And I got chatting to Faye, and I said, oh, you should go on our website. To be honest, I didn't...
How long ago was this?
Probably 2 years ago now.
Right.
I didn't realise Faye used to be a boy.
Say that again.
Faye used to be a boy.
She looks like a girl, like.
So I think is it transgender?
I am transgender.
Yeah,
I was pre-op.
Yeah.
At one point before the operation.
Okay, talk to the mic.
And now I'm post-op.
But transgender means somebody who could be one or the other.
Yeah.
But once you're operated, you're definitely on the side of the woman. You're a woman now.
Yeah, I'm a woman.
Yeah. So what you used to be, I used to be in India, now I'm in England. My skin color hasn't changed.
It's a bit different.
Your journey was a little bit easier than mine.
But I'm not Michael Jackson. Otherwise, I'd be white and I'd be sleeping with children myself.
I don't think it's that easy.
No, it's true. You either hear that. No, I mean that genuinely. A lot of my compatriots are here, but they still talk about home being India.
Yeah.
I was talking to a Polish guy. We train people. Let me do some plugging. AMPM 24/7 is an agency that teaches people to get into jobs. So I had this guy with a very strong Polish accent, and he couldn't say this and he couldn't say that, and this went on for some time. And I said, where were you born? Oh, I come from Poland. I said, and then we chatted, and he says, in my country. I said, stop. This is your country. You're white.
Yeah.
You don't get as much racism as me until you open your mouth, and they'll hate you. The way you talk, your English is atrocious. How long have you been in this country? 12 years. I said, why haven't you learned English, man? Or Geordie even. Yeah. So, people, when they hang on to the past. Now, Faye, we'll chat with you, obviously. But if Faye didn't let go of the boy part of Faye, then it's... Why are they wolf whistling you all the time?
I think because I've got to keep my phone on because you haven't got one.
Okay. Boom, 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 boom.
It'll have to
No, I've got two phones. Both are videoing. And you mean the studio phone. And the number to ring, if you wish to, is 07787 871 996. Let's get on with the show a little bit more before you ring. So I've blocked the telephone line for the minute because some clever people ring straight away. Faye, tell us about yourself. And Bessie, please jump in both feet anytime. Where were you born, like? Roughly how long ago? Where? What?
I'm 27. I was born in County Durham. I was raised by my mum and dad, then mainly by my mum.
How many brothers and sisters?
I have 2 sisters and 2 brothers.
How do they see you now?
As a female, as a sister.
No, so you're good friends with them.
Yeah, very close.
Your family
my
accepts.
sister and my mum are my rock.
Okay, so they accept you totally.
100%.
Dad finds it a bit harder.
My dad's side of the family do find it a little bit harder.
Are you the eldest?
I was my dad's only son at one point.
Yes, and now that's gone.
Yeah, so
that's a big loss to him.
Yeah, and but my mum as well. My mum for nearly 2 years felt like she'd her son had died.
Yes, it
'Cause
had.
I was a different
It
person.
had.
And it was hurtful.
Yes, indeed. And you do understand that.
Oh, God, yeah.
pain. Because any time you change your gender or your religion, not different. If you change your religion, people do exactly the same things. Or if you change your belief system, or if you start voting Labour to Conservative.
I was going to say, if you change generally, people don't like it. Cause
Well, sexuality,
people
gender,
don't like change.
anything. Because, for instance, my father expected me to do football and go fishing and have a family and get married.
Be his mate.
Yeah, and be his
Well, you
mate.
have a family and you have gotten married in a way.
Well, I've
but
had
not
a
his way.
relationship, but just not
his style.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're born in County Durham, and what did your parents do job-wise, just to get a sense of them?
My dad owns his own company.
Doing what?
Rising Star Karaoke's. He's like a DJ.
So he's out in the public a lot.
Yeah, he is.
So he should understand you a lot more.
I think deep down my father was just scared for me. He knows what the world's like because he's older than me.
Yeah.
And I think he was
Your dad's older than you.
Yeah.
That's a new one.
Yeah, but you know what I mean. He's older than me. So
my dad's younger than me.
I think he
Yeah.
was just really scared.
Well, fear and anger and jealousy and hate are all exactly the same thing. Men generally stereotypically express it in anger. If you drop some weight on the foot, he'll say, "Oh, shit." Whereas women will say sugar. It's the same thing.
Well, I wouldn't, but yeah.
But then who says you're a normal woman and I'm a normal male and she's a normal female? We are three freaks here, man.
Speak for yourself.
Well,
I haven't been called a freak for a long time.
me and me are both freaks then. But what's a freak? Someone who's different.
We're all different.
And if you your pupil is different, your thumb impression is different, every snowflake is different. But man, in particular, women less, are scared of the difference. Why should I be scared of a Muslim? If he believes something differently, go and pray at home. I have no problem. Why should I be scared of a Christian? It doesn't bother me really, but people are scared. And all this posturing with guns and all is because the idiots are scared. They're uneducated louts, basically. I'll send you a link for how to produce a suicide bomber. It's on TED Talks. Don't laugh. I do funny things, don't I? Yeah. But you listen, if you are living in the mountains with 20 other siblings, because a dad has got many wives and lots of siblings, you have no you have no iPhone, you've got no this, no sex, no anything to do with yourself sexually either. What do you think will happen if somebody comes and says, I'll give you 2,000 rupees per month and I'll take this child away for education? The mother jolly well knows it's for suicide bombing. But that's how suicide bombers are produced. And if 24 hours you're mugging one book, it could be let's forget terrorists, think of doctors. They mug just one book, anatomy. They see people as an anatomy. I'm looking at you, I can see your nasal bones, I can see through your skull. Rubbish is a human being, So it is, faith and belief are self-imposed. It doesn't come from outside, and people pretend. I mean, I say things that people don't like, but that's me. If you don't like me, don't talk to me. Yeah. But I have the fortune of living in Britain. India is not as good, but pretty damn good, I mean, India has still 85% Hindus. Extremely tolerant. I mean, there was a movie called PK, which I'd love to sit and watch with you. It doesn't have subtitles. But when the real stuff comes out, it is a very challenging movie. He says in church you wear shoes, in temples you wear barefoot, in church you serve wine, the Muslims hate wine. So which of them is right? Well, they're all right and they're all wrong. It's what you believe. So, when did you realize you were not like the other blokes, just beating up other kids and playing with conker?
Probably when I was the one getting beat up.
Why were you beaten up?
I was very, very feminine in school.
So, like Billy Elliot?
Yeah, a little bit like Billy Elliot. But I think even my teachers, not just my fellow pupils, were so uneducated. I can remember one of my teachers referring to me as, well, you are obviously gay. And when you're young, you just think, oh, so I'm gay. Well, at least I know. It wasn't until I was 15, 16, till I actually understood what, transgender was, feeling that I wasn't right. Because I never found two males together appealing at all. It wasn't me. It didn't feel right. But then when I feminized myself, it felt more comfortable and more right to me. So I kind of accepted myself rather than waiting for everyone else to accept me. I think that was the biggest challenge. Accept yourself, and who cares what the rest of the world thinks.
Well, this morning a friend of mine says, I feel very weak. Who should I pray to? I said, look in the mirror and pray to yourself. There is no outside, God is my projection. People don't like what I say, but God is just my projection.
It's hard to do that though in society. That's where I think faith, is.
That's why we have her here, is to say.
Yeah, absolutely, because people go through the whole life.
So now society needs to change. I mean,
absolutely.
I've lost what 16 years of my life.
Yeah.
Because
pretending to be a bloke.
Pretending to be a boy, going fishing, playing football.
I don't go fishing. I don't play football.
But you know what
maybe
I mean?
I should.
Things
Maybe
my dad wanted me to do.
Yeah.
Will you tell me where you're
trying to fit in?
Yeah, I was trying to fit in.
Okay, at 68, can I go and have a change?
I think you need to. But yeah, I mean, it was just.
So okay, let's go slowly. You were say 5 years old or 3 years old in your primary school, and it was all nice. The boys had bonnets and knickerbocker clothes. There's no gender differentiation like that. In primary school, they're all babies, man.
Yeah, in primary school, nobody knows.
Yeah.
Once you get older and people start seeing you're different.
No, but when did you feel or they felt you were odd because you had a soft voice or your manner was very gentle?
7 or 8.
7 or 8. What did you do that the other boys didn't or the girls did?
I was just more like a girl.
In what way? What way?
I was very feminine.
Not what way? You didn't fight with each other?
I didn't fight.
You didn't hit each other?
I always sat with the girls. I got on with the girls.
But there are a lot of blokes like that.
Yeah, there is a lot of blokes like that. But I mean, I wasn't interested in anything to do with
masculine
stuff.
But stereotypical masculine.
Yeah, stereotypical, yeah. I wasn't interested at all.
So society was not able to mold you into playing with guns. And you liked playing with dolls.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, my youngest son, we've lost him now. He's died. When he was 4, he said to mum, his mother, he said, "Mum, I want to have a baby." She said, "You can't have a baby or a boy." He started crying. And there are many people like that who have this urge. No one is fully male and no one is fully female, Bring me a bloke here, I'll strip him down and show him how feminine he is, unless he's a total nutter. And all these terrorists are acting male because they're scared.
Yeah.
They're scared of the poetry, the music, the softness, the kindness, the compassion. They can't stand it. I mean, do you know what I'd love to do with terrorists? Put them in a school and teach them music and painting and arts and service industry. They can't hack it, because it's so alien to them. So by 7, you realize you are not you.
Yeah, I realised that obviously I wasn't like the other boys. But
the boys weren't making any pass at you homosexually?
Not at that age, but... Well, no, actually, yeah, like I was referred to as like a sissy, Sissy means a failed male. Yeah,
but it doesn't mean a lovely female.
No, I know that, but I was referred quite at a young age as different.
Okay, that's all right, Carry on. So you were referred as a very odd person by the blokes. And how did the girls in your class treat you?
Nice.
So they were all right with you?
Yeah.
Do you feel females are more forgiving? Generally.
I don't believe females are more forgiving. No.
Are they more bitchy?
I believe females can understand more.
Okay.
And
they can understand body language and what's behind it.
Yeah.
I'm talking stereotypically, but life is stereotypical. Don't try to pretend as if everything's equal. It's not.
No, it's not equal.
No, it's not equal level playing field. So these women understood you better. And did they forgive you for being different?
I believe they just didn't care.
Okay, it didn't matter to them.
It didn't matter to them.
Okay, so the females being more accepting and more understanding and therefore more intelligent, I would say.
I would say so.
Blokes watch it, It's true, I find women negotiate better because the ego is much smaller.
But how it changed in later life, from being accepted by girls in the playground to being outcasted and shunned upon
by girls
when I really transitioned.
Oh, I see. As long as you remained a bit odd, it's all right.
As I was a bit odd, but as soon as I started to take the limelight from them and I looked a bit prettier, oh no,
really,
I was the
What were you? What did they call?
I was the tranny in the corner. Really? To be totally fair.
Really?
Tranny.
Tranny. That's what I've been referred to.
What is a tranny?
I don't know.
Oh, tranny means transvestite. Okay.
So I'm in their eyes, I think it was always not that I'm a glamour model, but any woman that felt inferior to me would then instantly not accept
reject you because it's a competition.
Yeah, but it's not a competition.
No, but that's and sadly.
Actually, I was just admiring your hair's fantastic.
So mine.
I know. And
mine.
It's great.
Excuse me.
You just think.
Excuse me. What's wrong with mine?
Well, I admired yours yesterday.
Oh, thank you very much. I was getting advice to let it go grey. And
no, don't do
in my mind, I was saying MYOB, MYOB, mind your own business. That's what I was saying to Susan. No, I think whatever feels comfortable, as long as I'm not hurting somebody, stealing them money, hurting them in any way, I do what the hell I like. You know, and I think society has moved on too much, especially in the West, where all these stereotypes just don't matter. Nobody tells you, why didn't you come to the temple the other day? Oh, I saw you mixing with Muslims. Well, my personality is such, they'll get a smack in the face if they did say something like that. But also people really have let go. And England is a country where if I jump up outside and shout, Jesus is gay, do you think anybody's bothered? So England has evolved a lot. I really mean that from the core of my heart.
I think Faye, you probably have gone through immense sort of struggle to be where you are.
Mm-hmm.
But I think if you're Asian, it would probably be even worse for you.
Did you ever have an Asian friend?
My ex-partner was...
Partner, sexual partner?
Yeah, my ex-partner who I was with...
was Asian. Asian meaning
Sikh.
what?
He was Sikh.
Sikh, like a turbaned Sikh?
No. He was, he didn't wear a turban, but he kind of tried to follow the rules in certain ways.
Okay. Seek and thou shalt find.
And
I'm not joking. The word Sikh means a seeker in Hindi as well.
All right, okay.
It is researcher. Sikhna means to learn. So the word does mean...
He's still got a lot of learning to do. Because
Okay.
he's not with me no more, so he's still got a lot of learning to do.
So I'll just fix the mic a little bit more. So tell me, so you're now about say 7, 8 and the girls accept you and the boys are beginning to see you as a sissy, that you'd rather be sitting in the corner with the lasses. Okay. Hobby-wise, what hobbies did you have at that age?
I was very much into computers and performing arts.
So computers like the boys and performing art like the girls.
Yeah, I loved ICT. It was something I was really good at. I picked up very quickly. I excelled at it. And drama, it was. I don't know. I felt right at home when I was on stage.
So you're not a shy Ben.
No, definitely not.
Okay. Okay. And what were your subjects like? What subjects did you enjoy the most?
Probably more so ICT and drama. I didn't really...
What about English literature, maths, chemistry, physics,
It was
sociology?
very hard to do.
You didn't enjoy them?
It was very hard to concentrate on things like that when you were constantly getting bullied.
Right. So your mind was so distracted.
My mind was completely
So
distracted.
anytime you're looking at the board, somebody's doing something from the side and disturbing.
Something was always happening that would affect or be directed at me.
So in this day and age, something would have to be done today, isn't it?
Something needs to be done today.
Yeah. If this happened when you were a kid...
Well, if it happened when I was a child, I just feel like children should be able to live their life from the first time they feel different and understand it. If it is 6 years old, then great, get them in ballet class if that's what they want to do. Because I lost 16 years of my life
Not doing the things that your heart
doing the
heart
things
wanted.
that my heart wanted, and I could have been really good at, because I was good at, as when I was younger, I was good with dance and things, but you can't progress into the... I didn't want to be lifting people and stuff like the male role would. Do you know what I mean? You don't get lifted when you're the male role.
Okay, so then by 15, again, what was your subjects? Was it still ICT and drama?
By 15, I wasn't at school. I had to leave.
Why?
Just the bullying was too much.
I mean, this is the point I'm raising, you know. But I'll tell you, the bullying happens only when the child accepts it, their parents accept it, the teachers accept it, the bullying child's parents accept it, and society accepts
but
it.
because I was lashing out, I was classed as a troubled child, because
You were troubled.
I was troubled, but not in the form that the teachers wanted to do. The teachers wanted to just send me away because I think they thought I was just too much of a hassle. It was too much. It was too controversial to have a... I was outspoken.
And a child who has got severe ADHD, who's pumped full of Ritalin, is okay. And they get benefits. Their parents get money. And the parents don't want the tablet stopped, otherwise the parents will stop off the benefits. I'm telling you real experience as a doctor.
Absolutely.
So when they say troubled, you were troubled by others, as we understand it in the studio today.
I was completely distracted. So I was frustrated with myself because I didn't know what I was doing in school.
Yes, your mind was not at peace whatsoever.
At all.
Okay.
And I was even told of one of the teachers that you're definitely gay. And I said it when I was 15. I was like, I'm not gay, I don't feel gay.
No, but how did the topic come up?
Because I said I'm being bullied.
Uh-huh.
And she said, well, if you weren't so feminine,
You wouldn't be bullied.
And I
So
was
you,
just
so you,
shocked by
so
this.
you little shitbag, you deserve it.
Yeah, obviously.
That's what the teacher was saying.
Basically.
Well, basically, you are gay, so you deserve it.
Yeah, exactly. That's what the teachers imply.
Uneducated, that's the thing. If they were educated, it would be better.
But you
Because
would
when I was
think
in
teachers
school,
would be
gays
educated.
were
yeah.
maybe discussed. The word transgender, I'd never heard until I was like 16. So how is someone at 7 or 8 confused gonna ever understand? Do we need to be put? Do we need to be put to a transgender?
Did you ever get any psychologist or counselor to sit with you?
When
and
I was
talk?
older. When I was
What
like
age? What
15,
age did you?
16, 17.
I was
Okay.
going to say, you know, I've got a friend and she's had trouble with her son for a long time, and we always say he's going to be transgender.
So you pick up the vibes.
And he's well, she's just constantly troubled. He's different. He is very different, and he's about 16 now. So it'll be very interesting to see if he is,
Well,
going
the
to
thing
go that
is,
way.
he's probably petrified
Yeah.
to even say, "Oh, I'm this," because
yes.
if I wasn't surrounded by the people I'm surrounded at now and back then, I wouldn't have.
But then it's really hard to say, "Are you this?" Because then you go, it might put a,
It might
freak him
It
out.
might freak him out.
Defense,
But at the end
yeah.
of the day, just the fact that I wouldn't even ask him.
No,
I would just,
he asked.
I would just say, whatever it is, we accept it. Even, and I would list if that makes him feel better.
Well, isn't that unconditional love?
Yeah, unconditional love.
Isn't that what a mother gives the eldest son?
I mean, honestly,
In some-
that's
In my experience
Yeah.
as a doctor and in personal, usually the mother gives her eldest son unconditional love, usually, but the father's love for the daughter is a different kind. It's a bit more possessive. Because the father's reputation comes into it, the male ego jumps up. With a mother to the son, there isn't anything. I mean, I've rarely met a mother who's tough to her eldest son. He can do what the F he likes, nobody, because he's right always. He's my son. He's my future.
Yeah,
And
but because sorry, dude.
Please.
But because of my transition, I never ever got to feel that possessive father. And you know what? Would have been quite nice. Because now I feel like I don't even know my dad.
So it's a tragedy that girls would get the possessive father, but you didn't get that even.
Yeah.
Because you missed out on that
He was
phase.
a brilliant dad when I was younger. I mean, he was there. But as soon as there was a change in me, and it was coming quite... Like my mum sat him down and said, "Oh..."
Well, it's the same as changing a
When
river.
did your mum know?
I think my mum always knew.
Did she?
But she never... my mum thought I was gay as well.
But now that you talk to your mum's alive,
Yeah.
when
my
you
mum-
talk to your mother, and she's welcome to phone, by the way, 077878719996. This is Bessie's phone number, anyone for TV, anytime, any place, anyone for TV. So, when did your mum actually understand that you could be different? At what age might you be?
I think my mum understood that I was going to be different probably when I was 14, 15.
Okay.
But I think my mum did have in her head, like all mums would,
Long before.
gay. So my
Yes.
son's
Yeah.
gay.
But no.
Yeah.
But it's gay or
Yeah.
transgender or something makes a difference
No, but it's
to us.
another thing as well. They're not educated.
But-
if my mum
but-
was educated
but-
as well,
Yeah.
she wouldn't have went through the whole sugar. She would have went, "Oh, she's feminine. He wants to
What
be a girl."
what would have happened if you turned gay instead of transgender? How would the
I
dynamics
probably
be?
had a really good relationship with my father.
That's a very odd thing to say.
Yeah, because my father came to London with me when I was in London, and not begged me, but really, really asked me just to stay gay.
To stay gay.
Stay gay
Oh,
and
this is Karen.
stay gay and not transition. But that wasn't. He was just scared. He wasn't doing a bad thing. He was just scared.
But what is the difference whether you transition or stay gay or become a Hindu or a Muslim
if I'm honest,
or shave your
probably
head or
because
cut
if
your
you're
nose?
Gay, you can blend in. If you change gender, people are gonna notice.
Oh, I see. So
The neighbours will notice.
among the square people, being gay is a minority, but that's accepted.
Well, for instance, it's funny, but sometimes I think, Dad, for God's sake, my father's neighbour always refers to me as Emma, my other sister. I just smile and go, "Hello." And my dad, I think, is grateful that he doesn't ask. He doesn't realise, because he's an old elderly gentleman, "Oh, it's not Emma, so who is this other girl? Where's Kevin?" Which was my former name. I think my dad likes that I'm sometimes mistaken for my sister, so he doesn't have to explain. Which is just an easy option, and that's fine
But then
for my dad.
I think parents have to grow some guts, you know.
Or be educated.
Well,
I was going to say, because my daughter's gay and she sort of looks like a boy, and I actually approached that to her. I said, "Do you ever feel like you're in the wrong body? Because is that the next step?"
Mm-hmm.
But it is very different being gay and...
Oh, massively.
Yeah, and I
Okay,
think
come on the mic because her voice is
right.
very, very, very strong and you are away from the mic. Okay, yeah. So you're saying some very important things. So
Yeah.
Bessie, you were saying
Yeah.
one of your daughters is gay.
Yeah, my daughter's gay, and I brought this subject up because she's very masculine. Although she looks, she's very beautiful, but she does look like a boy and dresses like a boy. And
She looks like a female executive in a advertising company.
Yeah, she does. But
feminine.
everybody thinks she's a boy. They do.
I didn't think
from
so.
when she was little.
Oh, I see.
From when she was 7. They all used to go, isn't he lovely? And I used to say, no, it's a girl.
Isn't he lovely?
Everybody. So
She
she
is.
grew up with, everybody thinking she was a boy. And I actually asked her about the transgender thing, and I says, do you ever feel... And she said, no, I'm quite happy in my body.
Yes.
So, and me as a parent, I didn't really understand, and I still don't, to be honest, what the sexuality is like, if you're gay or transgender. Well, do you fancy a man? Do you fancy a woman? Do you know what I mean? I'm not fully aware
And the
of
thing
it
is as
yet.
well, some transgender people do transition from male to female and still class them. So if I was, for instance, my friend transitioned from male to female, but was still attracted to girls.
Yeah.
So she transitioned and then
So-
became gay. It was crazy.
Well, I was going to say, yes, you could be attracted to women.
Yeah, but so then you would be a gay
Yes,
woman.
yeah.
You're just in the wrong body.
Yeah,
It's very
yeah.
confusing. And I think I got away from a lot of bullying because my sister's friends were quite... some of them were gay, but they were like cool gay, like a bit like your daughter.
Right,
Looks
yes.
like
Cool
a boy,
gay.
but
Yeah.
very feminine in the
Yeah,
face. And I think I picked up on that when I was 15.
So it brings me to the topic of how much are we bothered, or you personally bothered about what people think, and how much what do you think about you think? Because you're mentioning what others think, they think I'm gay, they think I'm...
It's hard
Who
to get
cares?
past what people think of you. It's
No.
hard.
I don't
No.
believe
No.
I care what people think.
When did you start doing that? When did you stop worrying about other people's opinions? What age were you?
Probably it's about 20, 21.
Okay, so it took a long time.
Oh yeah, but my house was set on fire. I was attacked.
Tell me all the abuses you've had.
I was at my house. My home was set on fire.
Why?
Because I was in their eyes different.
So?
I was 16 and I woke up and flames were around me.
Dear me.
And I mean, and you
Really?
wake up and stuff like that happens, and you just think, what? I mean, people go, it's the area you live in. No, it's not.
No, but what's the fear they have? I mean, okay, you're different, you're funny, you're peculiar, you're crude, you're every damn thing on the sun. You're sinful, you're blah, blah, blah,
I'm
blah.
like most women.
But why? Why should they want to burn you?
I have no idea.
And the same guys will stand up and shout against Muslim terrorists. So what's the difference? If you're different, you're different. And if I don't like you, I don't have to
Human
speak to you.
beings, isn't it? They
Yes.
don't like,
But that's
they
the thing. If you don't
things.
like me, don't look at me.
That's right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Ignore me, avoid me, buy a
And I
house.
think sometimes as well, a lot of men, I'm not blowing my own trumpet once again.
Go on then.
But a lot of men are so like
Attracted to you.
attracted to me, then they're like, oh, get away from me. And I'm like, oh, whoa, okay. What have I done? I don't know what I've done. Do you know what I mean? And it's strange and it's unusual because then it makes men question
Their
which is
sexuality.
stupid because how are they questioning their
Yeah,
sexuality?
you're challenging it, isn't it?
They're looking at a woman. They're not
Yeah.
looking.
Yeah.
I'm not at all. I am probably more woman than most women.
Yeah, because like people who change their religion by choice, I'm not talking about the ones who've been forced. They've chosen that religion, they'll study it more, they'll want to know more. Actually, religion is quite interesting because everyone is born into a faith. They are labeled at birth. They are barcoded at birth. You get a name that alludes to your religion. So don't tell me you have to be a good human first, then you choose your religion. That's a load of tripe. You are packaged into a religion, you're forced into a religion, you study in that religion, you stick with that religion, and then if you are a human, you try to move out from it. You can keep your religion.
Just like gender.
Exactly the
I was
point
gonna
I'm
say,
making.
I mean, if you are,
You know, when I went to
You're
school,
us-
I wasn't offered basketball, netball.
Yeah.
I wasn't given the option. Do you want to do basketball or
No,
netball?
it's
It was
basketball. You're a
It was
bloke, man.
football.
Yeah.
And it's stupid.
and also if you'd been religious, like, are you Catholic? No.
No, I
But
don't.
if you had that on you as
well,
well,
like we were discussing,
that would
It's
be
another
much
layer.
harder.
me, but just
Yeah,
in a
yeah.
different. I would love to reach
Yeah.
out to people.
Yeah,
That is
yeah.
my big goal.
Okay,
is to reach
so
out
tell
to
me
people.
tell me about religion. What faith were you born into? How much did you go to church or not?
I wasn't born in.
Did your
any-
dad go into church and
No,
things?
no.
Was he quite a cool guy?
Yeah, my dad.
He was a
really
DJ,
chill.
you said.
Yeah, my dad.
And
was
if you're a
really
DJ, you're a man doing a softly thing. He's not a footballer punching and kicking and.
No, but my
so your
dad
dad
was
already.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but DJing is a feminine thing. It's a soft thing. It's pleasing people. It's a feminine process, like being on the radio. It's not like boxing or kicking. I'm talking about extremes.
Yeah.
So he had that in him, isn't it? He's a soft-hearted person, happens to be a bloke, otherwise you wouldn't be born like. And he liked music and he shared it, which is, again, sharing is not a
Well,
masculine
he's a
thing.
singer. My dad's a singer. He sings.
Where is he? Why isn't he phoning and singing?
Because he probably wouldn't be listening.
Or what does he like singing?
He likes singing oldies.
Like,
I don't know.
do you want to sing?
Martin.
Yeah, I think
Dean Martin kind of thing.
Yeah,
Okay.
I haven't really seen my dad for quite a long time. So.
Why?
When I see him, there's just nothing. There's no connection. It's a struggle.
But
But when I go and see my uncle Nigel and my nana Pat, wow! And they're like, they're on my dad's side of the family.
Yeah.
And they are just so lovely and open and welcoming.
So your dad feels victimized
I just,
by you?
my dad remembers me as a boy, and I think my dad really liked
Well,
it.
get over it. You're reborn.
But you can't just say get over it.
Well,
It's-
people go to church and say Jesus is born. So, this hypocrisy I find, that's why I bring religion all the time. Because a lot of the religion things are just rules. They have no value in it, not today. And they're full of rules, and more rules. Rules is what I impose on you. Values is what you have from within. So, if dad doesn't have rules, what's this rule? Okay, Kevin has died. Faye is born. When did you have your first operation?
My first operation was when I was 21.
So, 21. And you're now 27.
Yeah, but I...
So really you're six-
But I lived as a female.
From what age?
From like 16, 17. I full wear makeup
So-
and everything. That was very hard.
so-
That was very hard for my dad to accept.
Okay. For 10 years you've been a woman.
Yeah,
So Faye is 10 years old. Kevin died at 17.
16.
16. Kevin died at 16. Faye is born. Happy birthday.
Hey!
No, but I mean, if you have to
But
accept,
realistically, can I just...
Go on, please.
Faye's always been here.
No, Faye's been inside. The G.
Yeah, but if I was educated enough, and if people around me were educated, I could have lived my life from like 5 or
7,
6.
yeah.
Yeah, but you only lost 15 years, man. You got
That's not acceptable.
Stop crying over spilt milk.
I'm not crying over spilled milk. I'm worried about the society that's coming, that people are being born in now. Over
15
Christmas,
years
people,
is a long time.
Over
yeah, like,
Christmas,
yeah.
the people have been committed suicide for being trans, and they're scrutinised, and we're targeted, and it's
Well,
stupid.
witches were burnt at the stakes as well.
Yeah,
but
I
we've
don't
got
know
over
what
that.
kind of fire we on, do you know what I mean? If
No,
I
no.
had a broom, we'd be alright.
Society.
In this day and age, it
Yes.
shouldn't be.
No, that's what I'm saying. You're the cutting edge of society, educating people.
And recently, I'm gonna tell you a little story.
Go on.
I was sat with my partner, and I said to my partner, I says, I just don't understand why people get gender change when they're older and they've waited so long, because it's just more discrimination. It is.
Because they've established a whole retinue of people.
Well, because probably they've grown into the male body.
Yeah.
I was very lucky. But then my partner was like, whoa, what? And my partner's really open-minded. He was like, you can't say that. And I was like, so I had to really think about what I was saying. And then when I was like, well, yeah, if people would just actually accept... I mean, why do I have to go to a club for trans people?
Why can't you be in a club full
Why do we have
stop?
to go to trans group? Why is there like refuges for like women that are getting beat up? Where's the refuge for us? So we can go, so we don't feel so scared and we wait till we're 45 and then we have no life.
Well, at one time, 50% of the population was heavily discriminated against. The 50% is called women. So now that's going over. Now slowly then the gays are accepted because they worked with the miners' strike. And all the miners, the real butchmen now accept gays because they worked with us in the miners' strike. So slowly society is moving and finding...
Well, slowly.
Slow.
It is
Because
us.
Faye was saying, you was just saying about the NHS.
Yeah, I want to have children.
Oh, tell us about.
I want to have children. And
But you don't have a uterus.
no, but I had my sperm frozen. So I made the first step and...
So the sperm frozen from
Oh,
you.
so you
But
had
you
to
won't...
feel-
But,
Yeah, I had-
but you'll never make any ovum.
No. But, well, a natural born woman who can't make ovaries and stuff would go to the doctors.
Yeah.
They'd give her help. Loads of help.
Yeah,
Different-
but medicine runs on religion actually.
Yeah, but why can't I get the same
No,
help that a
because I
non-natural
just told you
woman gets?
medicine runs on Christian religion.
Wrong.
I tell you things I've done. So you begin to understand me a little bit. This woman walks in summertime, chubby, fattish woman. I use the word fat. Am I allowed to say the word fat?
Plum.
Fat. Okay, she walks in and she's got a heavy raincoat on in summer. And as a doctor, I had short sleeves in my surgery. And I said, why you got this raincoat on? She said, can't you see? I said, no, tell me. I've got huge breasts. So I said, okay. Can you take your overcoat off? She said, yeah. And they were really massive, ugly, massive. So I said, can you come with your mum or brother or family member? I'm going to do something. She came with her mother, who I knew exceptionally well, because I had helped her mother through her father and her mother's husband's death. So she said, Doc, what is it? I said, I want to help this lady, but I need to do something very peculiar. She said, what? I need her to strip down to her waist and take a photograph and send it to the PCT. The last doctor had written to the Primary Care Trust, and they said her body mass index is 26. If it doesn't come under 22, we won't deal with her. We won't do a breast operation. And I said, excuse me, there's so many people with body mass index of 32. You do their operation for their nose and their toes and their eyes and their ears and deal with the asthma. And I sent this picture. They were so horrified at the PCT, and because they're scared of me, they did the operation. But sometimes
why does it take you to get that result?
That's right. That's the point I'm making. Why does it need a real bully of me, a bulldog? I'm a British bulldog, actually, to fight the whole system. But, don't you think you're lucky? You're like a messiah. You're like a...
I am very
you're a firebrand.
I am a very lucky individual.
So enjoy that role. That is your role.
I do enjoy it, but when there's things put... When there's brick walls put in front of me, I just...
The Berlin Wall has come down,
Yes, but what you're not understanding... I went to the doctors to discuss things, and I was completely told you will not get help to have a child.
What he means is that is the likelihood.
Well, but it's not just having children. Like my two friends who were trying to transition, they've transitioned. I was in hospital with them. I met them. They are lovely.
Transitions means change of sex.
Yes, they weren't offered. I mean, just only because I'm up north and they were. One was in Ireland and one was down south. I had electrolysis. I had everything offered to me. My friend in Ireland, she's had nothing. She can't get her throat done. She can't get because she's got receding hair. She can't get anything.
But the NHS is the NHS decides. The NHS decides what's good and what's bad.
Well, then we should have a transgendered NHS just for us, if we're that scrutinised and different. We should all just be equal.
We should have an NHS. What we run is a National Sickness Service, for God's sakes. There's no health in the place.
But if you look on the internet, you see some women who, like that stupid Benefit Street, she's getting boob jobs and everything off the NHS because she's moaning like an idiot. Like, it's really, like, my friends don't go out the house because they can't get the help and they can't afford to pay for things. It's wrong. I was incredible. But I was so lucky to look like me. Yeah.
But generally, the NHS is about sickness, illness, and it finds new diseases to keep the doctors busy and the patients busy.
Are we not sick?
No.
But
no one is sick. We love illness. We love the NHS. We love the Labour Party. But it's a load of bollocks.
But to try and
I worked in the health service from 1978.
But to try and be accepted more. The NHS should...
It should be a level playing field.
Yeah,
no.
Completely.
You can't say you're a Muslim, you can't have this treatment. You can't say... I've fought for Muslims to have circumcision, because for whatever reason, not for health reasons, they have to have a circumcision. And I went to the PCT and said, look, they say, but the Jews get it done privately. I said, the Jews have been in this country for about hundreds of years. These guys have just arrived. They go all the way to Birmingham to some unscrupulous idiot who doesn't anesthetize, gives them sexual trauma, and they get infected. And my problem is, at 12 in the night, somebody's knocking on my door saying, can I have some Calpol or can I have some antibiotic? So it should be level playing field, And
but what I find interesting meeting you as well, I found it reasonably easy to transition. The bullying was bad, all the crap was bad, but
But that part was quite good.
At least
I could never imagine when I was with my partner who was Indian, I met a lot of his friends. And I met their families. I could never imagine being in their family and going, well, I'm going to change my gender. I look and I wonder, how do people do it? How do people transition in different cultures, in different religions, in different circumstances? They don't. And there should be some help, like there is for women who are getting beat up. Come, run away, or forced marriage. Come, run, help.
Yeah, nobody says to a beaten up woman, just leave him. Just leave him, find a new place. No. But they get support and counselling and training, and people make money out of training them. There's an Angelou Centre here, and the amount of beat-up women is becoming less, so they've gone more into training. So sadly, you're not.
Well, we get told.
Sadly, you're not a beaten-up brown.
We get told, go prove it. Go live as a woman for 2 years and prove to us that you're a girl. That's
what do you mean? How do you prove you're a girl?
Dress as a woman. They might as well go. They might as well say, if you can hack it on the streets with a dress on, as a guy that you are, then come back to us in 2 years and we'll think about it.
Okay, if tomorrow I want to become a Muslim, I don't know about the circumcision like that. Somebody will say the kalma in my ear and I become Muslim. If tomorrow I want to be a Sikh, like that, I'll put on a turban, I've got a kada anyway. But if my view is completely different, if tomorrow you want to be, say I'm a Hindu by the way, if you want to be a Hindu, and I'm a priest and I can convert, there's no such process. But if you were outside my door for 2 years begging, saying I've studied this, I've studied that. No, because that's party politics, you know. Tomorrow you want to be a Labour supporter, like that. You want to be National Front, like that. But tomorrow you want to change your gender, wear a shirt for or a blouse for 2 years. Same thing. It's a conversion, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And
then they will just start discussing giving you hormone treatment.
Why can't they give you hormone for 6 months and see if you feel comfortable in that and then stop the treatment?
I don't know.
Well, because they don't want you to change.
Because it costs them more money.
But it's not just money. They spend money on such clapped. How many antibiotics do you think should be prescribed in general practice? You know, I've had antibiotics in 78 till now, 30 whatever years, 36 years. I've had antibiotics 4 times.
But I just don't understand, we're in 2015. Like, I'm no different to this lady here.
Yeah.
And every other lady that I see, I am no different. If they are big, small, tall, fat, skinny. Brown, white, orange. Most Geordies. I'm not different. But when they start giving me grief and attacking me just for me being me, if I walked around the street and it was just like, fat, you know, I would be completely scrutinised. But someone can walk past me and go, sure, that used to be a bloke. And it's accepted. If I it is ridiculous.
So you can walk with a turban in Britain, nobody will say anything. You can walk with a beard, nobody will say anything. You can walk with a Hindu kind of thing and nobody will say anything. But if somebody knows you were a man once, you used to be a man.
But what I don't understand as well, like, my mum lives close to here.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand why there seems to be areas just for, you know, brown people. We should be just
You
mixed.
are the first person, I've said this on air and I'll repeat what I've said, there should not be single faith television channels. There should not be single faith schools. There should be 50% Catholics and the rest would be mixed purposely. There should not be streets like Hartington Terrace full of Bengalis, Middleton full of Pakistanis. We should discourage
How
this.
are you meant to integrate into us?
The government likes being different. Let me speak as an Indian. I went to Berwick-upon-Tweed and the idiot, the son of a bitch, he says to me, Dr Anand, do you need an interpreter? I said, Ji haan, bilkul chahiye, mere motorcycle pe piche. I'm doing a motorbike test. How can you have somebody who can't read English? How can you? So we've become so stupidly, politically, idiotically correct that we are stupid idiots. You go to St. Nicholas, not now. They've got signs in Gujarati, Korean, Chinese. So you're a nutter Chinese and say, this is where the Chinese people come. What a load of rubbish. I think all translation should be stopped today.
I don't think we integrate.
No, but Britain doesn't want integration. The top dogs, they want to take pity on people like me. They want the language in translation in every Braille. I can understand. You're blind, you can't change that. But if you're under 70 and you come to Britain, you bloody well passed an English exam in a year's time. What the hell do you do all day? Watch Indian channels and Pakistani channels and talk Urdu all the time. I've got a fellow who works in a multinational company. He's been 5 years. His English is atrocious. But then he's a chef in an Asian kitchen. And he won't. And I said, no, talk to me in English. How would you be in this country?
But I think, because of my relationship I had with a Sikh gentleman, I saw a different side of it as well. I'm not racist at all. But I saw a different side. Like, I've got Asian friends, I've got Muslim friends, I've got Sikh friends, I've got loads of different friends. But there is a side to it where they're not. Some people are just not very nice, and that's what it boils down to. They're not terrorists or people that want to hurt people. They're just not very nice people.
Well, we all came for the money. Nobody came here for culture or learning English or improve their language skills. Money, even in the best people would come and learn and go back to India or Pakistan and practice there because English the education was good. But nobody went back. They all stayed here. And then they try to impose their values on this society. If you're doing something good, let me come to you. If you're so wonderful as a Sikh, let me come. Don't try to force it on me, or a Muslim, or a Hindu. And, I do wear Asian clothes to a wedding. And the joke is, I'll go to a Pakistani wedding, And apart from the groom and me, everybody is dressed in two-piece suits.
But I've done a lot of Indian parties, Indian weddings.
Do means what? What did you do?
I've got entertainment companies, so like...
Companies?
Yeah.
Okay. My God. Wow, I should treat you with some more respect. She's a rich burger, like.
A children's company.
Wow.
And Pandora children's parties, actually. And All Round Entertainment, which is a nightlife company. I've been to parties, Indian parties, Sikh parties, Muslim parties, Hindi parties, and it's so fun. It's crazy, but it's so fun. And you see that side of it. I mean, my staff, for instance, came to me at the end of this gig and said, open my eyes, aren't they just a really nice bunch of people? And I was like, they're not a really nice bunch of people. They're just like us. We're all the same.
Yeah, yeah.
And
They're so nice, they're like us. I mean, that's...
Yeah, but we're all the same. We're
And
not
that's
different
true.
in any way.
That's what we have to get over, is everybody's
It's
the same.
like, for instance, some English people, it's not to do with colour, some English people are just completely racist and live in a racist household.
Well, they're timid. They've never seen the other side.
They're idiots. They're
But they
idiots.
haven't seen the other side.
No, they choose not to because they're idiots.
Okay, well, let them be.
And
Peace be upon them.
Racist Sikhs, Muslims, because that's what they are. Like people like, oh, they're terrorists and all that stupid rubbish. No, they're just racist. You just don't like white people.
Yeah.
They just don't like us.
But if you don't like...
Fine,
then don't...
that's fine.
Just a
Don't
minute.
mix with it. Don't.
No, excuse me. If you don't like it here, for one person at least, I'm prepared to give a ticket to go back. Because they make it difficult for me.
I 100% agree.
If you you see, what I believe in my heart is what I believe in my heart, right? But how I express myself is called culture, not religion. Religion is for the heart. Don't display your religion. I hate it when people tell me what they are. I don't want to know, man. It's your business. Who you sleep with, who you pray to is no concern of mine. Culture is what comes out. Culture means whether you do bhangra or you do Morris dancing. That's what I see. Or classical.
I completely agree. I think culture is beautiful.
But culture is grows from the land. Religion is imposed. Religion is imposed. To me, religion is spirituality wrapped in culture.
I think that's also why I had a very I related to my partner, my ex-partner, because, you know, he used to suffer from discrimination, etc. It was
Right.
creative.
So he got it from the English.
Yes.
So did he speak Punjabi?
Yes.
Fluently.
Yeah.
But the next generation Sikhs will not know Punjabi as well. But Sikhism has nothing to do with the language. You see, this is where culture imposes itself on religion. To be a good Sikh, you have to know Punjabi. Why?
But just because
to be a good Muslim, you have to know Arabic. What use is Arabic to me?
But just because of his it wasn't even his religion. It's not his. It was his family's. He got whisked away after 3.5 years of being with me.
Whisked away.
Yeah, we got taken to India, and then he got brought back, and he was put in London to work rather than because when he was left to be free in the northeast, this is totally true. He would come and see me and try and reconnect with me, even when we broke up.
And did he get married in India as well?
I don't think he got married, but I think he's engaged at the moment to it. But he's never going to be happy. He wasn't ever happy.
No. But what is this different from a forced marriage that happens to usually girls from the subcontinent who are born here?
I don't believe forced marriage just happens to girls.
Exactly what I'm saying.
My ex was everything was forced upon him.
So he's a girl. So he's a girl, actually.
Well, yeah.
That's what I'm pointing out.
I was going to say, yeah. I mean, that must.
In
be
what way
hard
is he different from
for him?
Yes.
You know, to have a relationship with you.
Okay.
Because that's
why did he not walk out of his family?
He couldn't.
Why?
Do it. I don't know.
Tell me. You tell me.
We've got a house together, a big, lovely, beautiful house on the quayside, and he was like, "I'm going to do it. I'm going to tell them about it." And he went home and. I just knew, in my gut, I was like, he's not going to do this.
He's not got the guts to do it.
So I messaged him and he was like, I just can't do that. Well, at that moment, we had a house together. That was a big deal for me. So, and everything else we had together, like, I'd helped him through, like, uni and stuff. I used to help pay for things. So I just went to his house and he came downstairs and he was so petrified, he denied even knowing who I was. And I mean...
Now, would you want to marry someone like that?
No. And that's the moment I thought to myself, you are a weasel. Yeah. Get out of my face. And I made sure his father paid the price for his son's mistakes and for his father's mistakes. Because I made sure his dad was on eggshells when it was in discussion. I mean, the Asian community refused to have much to do with his family now.
Mm.
Because I had friends in the Asian community and they all liked me. And they didn't understand why I was getting my car vandalised and told to get out the area. I'm getting told to get out of the area. And it was just crazy.
And you're white and born in this country.
Oh, forget what colour I am. I don't care what colour
No,
I am.
no, but get out of which area? Was it the Asian area?
Newcastle. No, I was in the Quayside. Just to leave the area, you need to get out of town.
By the might have been
By
father-in-law.
his father, yeah.
Oh, good luck to you, sir. I hope we meet into each other. I hope I can interview you as well. You know, the whole point of all this is people work in fear, but pretend it's anger. It's all fear. It's all fear-based. What if their son... Why do you think the father didn't want all this?
Probably because he's a bit like my father and scared of what people will say.
But your father has learned democracy for 400 years in Britain and his father hasn't. Has he?
I don't know.
Okay. Hi, we got someone in the studio we completely ignored. Can you say hello on the mic, please?
Hello.
Hello, what's your name?
It's Karen.
Hello, Karen. Nice to see you
And
here.
you.
Hello.
Nice to meet you.
Hello,
Faye.
Karen.
And nice
Okay.
to meet you, Faye.
Okay. You've been listening to Faye. What do you make of it all? It's a very interesting conversation. I've never had this conversation with anyone who's transgender in my life, and I've been a GP from 78.
All right. I haven't either. However, my sister was gay, so I was always brought up around this.
Is there anyone around here who hasn't got a family member? I'm feeling left out here. Like.
Can I be honest with you? Someone will be.
Oh, yes.
I just won't tell you.
Yes.
Doesn't really bother me at
No.
all. Everyone's got
I went to
choices.
Canada to my youngest brother's oldest sister's marriage, and she's married a guy who's 1/16th white. I mean, they were Anglo-Indians. You know, when the English people raped their maid servants, they produced the Anglo-Indians. And that is the truth.
Really?
People don't
Wow.
want Cliff Richard and people like that who are so ashamed to be Indian.
Right.
It's true, absolutely true.
Wow.
I know Cliff Richard won't like it, but he's so English, you know. He's virgin, he's Christian, he's everything, because he's trying to avoid being Indian.
Okay.
So I went to her engagement, and so it was the marriage itself. And along comes a couple, a Canadian couple, and he says, "My name is Adam, and this is my wife Leslie." And I said, "Nice to meet you." Then another fellow comes, he says, "I'm Peter, and meet my husband John." I got a shock. My whole system shook. And this is an Indian marriage, you know. Okay, there are white people around. So what did I do? I was so ashamed of my shock. Because I've been a GP for a long time in Britain, you know.
Right.
I went and sat at their table, and my niece came and said to my ear, "Uncle, what are you sitting at this table for? You know they are gay." That's my own niece who's marrying a guy whose cousin's is a husband's cousin. So there are many layers to this thing.
I think a lot of people's homophobic, really, and I think it's all about choices. You know, it's a lot of people's narrow-minded, a lot of people's naive. I've got a lot of gay friends.
So what does narrow mind come from? Is it from lack of education, as
I think
Faye
it's
keeps talking?
ignorance, lack of
completely.
education.
So ignorance is bliss.
And I think it's also socially accepted in society. People, you know,
So you're scared of people.
some people are frightened of what it's really about.
Well, exactly.
and also
Your might have been father-in-law. Do you think he really cares about who his son's marry? I don't think so.
No.
What will he say when he goes to his temple, the Gurdwara? How will people say, "Oh, that is the fellow whose son has married a bloke"?
Why? Because people think it's socially acceptable.
That's all.
It's accepted for a male and female.
But can I be honest
partner.
with you? You know how committed I was to... I went to the temple.
Mm-hmm.
I sat down. I got involved with certain things. And if I'm prepared as a white person...
To fit in.
To try and understand... Why isn't he even... He hasn't even got the... He dismissed me as soon as he looked at me.
But do you know, your name is Karen, isn't
Yes,
it?
it is.
Suppose
That's right.
Karen was the girlfriend. Never mind you, who has changed and everything. Karen is a natural born female. I think you haven't.
I am.
You haven't changed from a bloke to a woman. I'm getting
No,
confused here, you know. I'm feeling left out in this conversation. So if Karen was his girlfriend, they would still look at her askance. Because she's not a natural Punjabi.
Oh, yes. It was...
So never mind you. You're
Yeah.
extra difficult.
I'm like
One
the
layer
extra
ahead,
mile.
yes.
His father at one point even said, "Why did you have to choose her? Even if it was a white girl, we possibly could have accepted." But I even asked him and went, "No, you couldn't.
Yeah.
White, and no, you wouldn't. It has to be someone you like, and you like the dad, and you
And
go drink with the dad."
I would stand like this, "Your Majesty, what can I cook for you, sir? And how many children can I produce for you tomorrow?" Then don't stay in Britain.
Exactly.
Europe
Go
and
home.
Britain are countries, well, or make this your home.
Go home.
They haven't
and
made
make
this
your home.
Or make this your home.
I agree with that.
Yeah,
100%.
I'm not from the National Front. I can't be. You know, I actually joined the National Front. You know this. I haven't said this on air. I gave my card number. They took it. And then I wrote, "You idiots, do you not realize I'm Asian?" They didn't, you know, somehow. So, but Britain has had democracy. For all its faults, Britain has had democracy and women voting. And India is going through the same process now. And if you try to hide these things, it doesn't evolve.
Do you not think that India's a little bit far behind with the female presence or with regards to the voting? And
I would say something quite outrageous. Thank God for that horrible rape, because now Indian women are talking about rape. The rape had been going on for a long time. Bosses would abuse their staff, female staff, for a long time. But now that is come in the fore, I don't think there's more rapes happening because of television. I think television is just bringing it to us, saying, this is going on, this is going on. And the last one where the girl actually photographed the number plate of the rapist. I mean, if she was my daughter, I'd slap her. She got drunk, she's falling asleep in the cab, and it's an American company. You don't know the driver. When I go to Delhi, I know the driver. I book him for 7 days. He's less likely to rape me than a female. And he's a decent Sikh who knows my sister. You know, you just don't throw yourself into danger, which is not justifying it, which is saying, come on, pet, have a look after yourself. I would say that to my son as well.
Well, it's just about self-respect. And,
yes.
And
don't allow it.
Like, I wouldn't, and I know you wouldn't, in Newcastle, get into a random taxi.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So if you as educated people, and you won't drink enough, so you are totally available. You know, I do a course on vulnerability.
I think you
can still be drunk, but still have your
No,
you and
don't drink to the extent that you make yourself totally vulnerable.
Yeah.
Drink because you can't speak without alcohol. Drink because you can't be stupid without alcohol. I don't need alcohol. I'm stupid anyway.
I tend to use a local taxi rank from Sunderland.
No.
To pick me back up, so I know the driver.
But if you took a random taxi and he raped you, I will stand up for you and not for him.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously, you know. Okay, so. How did you arrive here? I don't know how you could.
The reason I arrived here was through Bessie. She'd asked me to come along to tell my story.
Oh, come on, you tell your story then.
Long story. In 2010, I had a telephone call to say that my brother had been taken into hospital. And I'd gone off to the hospital to see him, and I was being told that they would contact us if they needed us through the night. So at this point, I knew it was quite serious, because by that initial
just from the conversation,
by the conversation, as if we need you, we'll call you through the night. And I hadn't seen my brother for a few months, because at that time I'd had mum in mental health hospital, so she'd had a nervous breakdown. And at the time I'd had dad actually quite poorly with bone cancer and prostate cancer. I had 2 children, and I was running 2 businesses at that time, which was a PR agency and a psychic agency. And
PR and
a PR agency. I've actually did an interview with you before, because when the Beacon Centre initially opened, we did a large fashion show here, and it was the What's On For Me. So we did an interview here a few years ago when you first launched Spice FM. I remember,
Thank you for coming again. We are still here, thank God.
I know, that's good. That's good.
And then?
So, obviously I'd gone down to see my brother in the hospital that night, and they'd admitted him into intensive care, and we were sort of took into a room and said, your brother's not going to survive. We're lucky if he's going to last the week. He's quite poorly.
With what?
Well, they didn't tell us initially, to be honest, but it turned out it was bronchocortical pneumonia. But because my brother had had a lot of childhood issues, he was rejected from his original birth mother, so my mother had took him on from the age of 6. So it was a lot of psychological damage there. My brother was then eventually became an alcoholic. So because he had an infection, which was a chest infection turned into pneumonia, his body couldn't fight off the infection because
his resistance wasn't there.
Yes, because their immune system was obviously quite shot to bits. So we had a situation where mum and dad had fell out with my brother. But obviously dad had chose to come down to the hospital and would been taken into this room to say he wasn't really going to survive. It wasn't looking very good. And we'd got to the end of that week and he hadn't really responded. And we then took into the room again to say, we need you, We'd rang the mental health hospital where mum was, because we told her our son was in hospital, but she didn't have any extent of how serious it was, because she wasn't really with it to know. Mm-hmm. And the hospital had said in intensive care, you best go and get your mum, because, we're going to turn these machines off on Sunday and she really needs to know. So me and my sister we made the decision, we'd rang the hospital, which we didn't really want to do because we didn't want to knock mum further back, but it was sort of, we're going to have to go and get her and tell her. So we had half an hour to say to mum, right, you've got half an hour to, your son's in hospital, he's dying, you're coming to say goodbye to him, and they're switching his machines off. Oof. And at this point he hadn't actually responded for 2 days. He was heavily sedated, and he just wasn't responding to any eye movement or hands moving or anything. and Mum had gone to the hospital. She didn't really know where she was. What she knew there was something wrong.
She has that much sense.
Yes, so she was like, what's wrong? What's wrong? You know, she knew there was something not right. So we sort of sedated her and we took her down. And as she'd gone into the hospital, because she hadn't spoken to my brother for a couple of years, there'd been a family dispute. She'd gone in and said, "Gary, it's your mum, I love you." And he just shot up the bed and opened his eyes and was sort of like, you know, what? Like by her voice, I think alone.
My God.
It made him respond.
My God. Okay.
And,
okay.
you know, so that was quite emotional. So I would gathered like sort of family and friends round and said, we're going to switch his machines off on the Sunday. And one of his friends had gone in on the Sunday and said, he's sitting up, he's awake. And I was like, what? So anyhow, it shocked the doctors. Had come off the ventilator from intensive care and they did what you call a tracheotomy, where they
make a hole in
make
the...
a hole, so, and they're taking the ventilator
like
out.
Stephen Hawking's.
Absolutely, which was progress. Dad was absolutely sort of shot a bits with the situation because he had cancer, and it was just like mum's in hospital.
So Dad had cancer.
Yes.
Mum severely mentally ill.
Yeah.
Brother's dying, waiting for tracheostomy.
Yeah, and
two sisters.
And two sisters. One who lives in Nottingham, so she'd obviously came up to see him and was staying. We'd spent sort of the 3 weeks in intensive care. So at that point, he was making good progress. And you know, I was saying to him, right, you're coming to live with me. You know, we're going to have a total change of lifestyle now. We're not going to be drinking. We're going to be having a talk. And he was sort of nodding in agreement. He couldn't really speak because of the ventilator being in.
Yeah.
He'd taken because he was quite agitated, he'd ripped out of the tracheotomy and the whatever the hole is, yeah. And he was bleeding, on borderline of having a blood transfusion. So
from having ripped his tracheostomy off.
Yes, and he's
shocked. He's a hard bugger, man.
And I was saying, oh, that's so bad what he's done, but apparently it's quite common because they're so agitated.
Yeah. Who wants, you know, when somebody puts anything in your throat, a dentist, you gag.
Yeah.
And he has a permanent gag in your...
Absolutely. And apparently once you've had a ventilator down your throat, it's like scarring on your lungs. It's severe, like that you've got to learn to speak again. I think it's quite severe.
Yeah.
So apparently that was quite normal. And he was starting to make progress, and it shocked the doctors that he'd getting to that point. And then I took a downward turn again, and we were taken into the room again to say that it wasn't looking good at all, and he was going to go. So we sort of had this up and down of he was dying, then it was going to be okay, and then he was dying again. In the meantime, he'd stayed there for 3 weeks, and to cut a long story short, we'd got taken into the room for the final time. I was actually due to get engaged at that time, and my engagement party was on the 14th of August. So by the 3rd week, I was thinking I'm going to have to start like getting hair done and start preparing. Not that I really wanted to look forward to an engagement with everything what was going on.
Yes.
I thought I'm going to have to start preparing for this. So I'd gone to get my hair done, and you're so drained off the lack of sleep because you're not sleeping.
You're on a high, adrenaline high all the time.
Absolutely. And if the phone rings, you sort of jump and you think it's the hospital.
Yes.
So I'd gone off to get my hair done, and I always remember I'd gone to go to sleep because what you've got to imagine is
so
if you've got mum in mental health and you've got brother in intensive care, I was spending an afternoon visiting mum
and
the evening
and visiting times are fixed, and you can't do this and can't do that. And
so in between running 2 businesses with 2 kids, you sort of juggling going to see mum and brother, so you're mentally drained yourself. And I always remember going to sleep and saying to my friend, can you wake us up at 3 o'clock because I need to be up to go to the hospital. And I always remember her shaking and saying, Karen, you really need to go to the hospital. Well, I knew I was going to the hospital, so I was like, yeah, I'm getting up. And she was like, I don't think you quite understand. You like the hospital's rang and you really, really need to go now. So like I didn't know where I was. You know, I'd woke up quite tired thinking, what do you mean I need to go now? And she was like, they've rang, like it's important, it's urgent, you need to ring them now. They've been trying to ring you. So I'd rang and they just said, we're taking these ventilators out. That's it. You know, this is the end. You need to gather your family together now and you need to come. So at that point we'd had mum in a couple of times to visit, so that's what we did. I'd gone into so much shock that my right leg started shaking because it was like, is this really, really happening? And I couldn't stop my right leg from moving. It was really bizarre. And we'd gathered the family round together and sort of said, right, you need to come now. This is what's happening. Sister had just gone back to Nottingham. She was having to travel back up. And everybody stayed round his bedside for 36 hours. We never left him. And we played his favourite music, you know, and it's quite sad because the night he passed away, we'd expected him to go for a couple of hours, and what happened was he'd actually went for another 29 hours, and his best friend, who was like his brother, you know, because it was so close, was actually in Gloucester, and it was his birthday. And we were like, do we tell him? Because he might have had a drink, he's got to drive up. And we decided to eventually tell him, and it was his birthday. So at one point I remember saying to my brother, oh, don't die today. I know that sounds terrible, but we were saying don't die today.
It's your friend's birthday.
It's your friend's birthday. We'll never ever get over that. And he actually hung on and waited till the next day when he'd got up here. And he knew I was getting engaged and was getting married, and I was getting married at that time, so my dad could be there. Obviously, the first daughter's gay, she hadn't seen him, he wasn't going to see a wedding there, and my brother had never been married, so I was the only child my dad was ever going to see get married, and that's the whole reason I was getting married, because Dad was quite terminally ill. And off we'd gone to the hospital, and it was quite strange, because we never knew when he was going to die. They said a couple of hours, and we're now on to the 29th hour thinking, when's it going to actually happen? I'd never personally seen anybody die before, so I didn't know what to expect and when it was going to happen. And I remember my sister had gone to take dad home because he was poorly, and Mum. And at that point, he'd sort of gasped for one of his last breaths, and he was searching for us in the room. So I'd rang my sister and said, I think you best get back here quick, because he's going to go.
From...
my mum and dad had lived quite close to the hospital. Mum had actually, it's quite ironic, Mum had tricked the doctors, pretending that she was well, to get out, because I think she knew sort of subconsciously that there was something, he was dying or something. She knew he was gone. And you could see him sort of saying, Mum, I love you, I'm sorry, Mime, and to try and speak to her. And off my sister had come back to the hospital. This was around about 9 o'clock on the night. And I think he was waiting for me. Everybody was taking the turns out the bed, and I was saying, have you turned, saying what you need? And he was sort of looking for me, and I don't know where I'd come from, but I'd sort of said to him, right, your mum's gone now. If she was here, she would tell you that she would love you. And Dad's gone, and he would say, watch what you're doing, son. And then, I'd said to him, I would always look after his youngest son, because he'd had two sons, one who he hadn't seen for 20 years, and the other who was 13. And I'd said I'd look after him, and when I got married, his youngest son would carry me dress at the wedding. He would be page boy. If he ever needed anything, I would always be there for him. And I think he was sort of waiting for me to say those things. I'd said the Lord's Prayer, because he had done some evil things in his youth, and then I'd just sort of said, peace, perfect peace, and off he died. And I think everyone was astonished, because it was as if he was waiting to hear those things before he'd passed. So he'd passed away, and I'd had to go and get Dad back. 2 days later, I was getting engaged, so at my engagement party, and sort of people were coming in the room thinking, I don't know whether
apologising, congratulations.
I'm really sorry, here's a sympathy card, or congratulations. They didn't really know what to do. So we'd had an engagement party, and it was quite emotional, because the songs that we'd played was one of the songs we were playing for our first dance type thing.
Wow.
So it was quite emotional. But that was that in the August 2010. With sort of Mum, because she'd conned the doctors that she was poorly, she'd got out and she wasn't right, and I'd sort of had to have the conversation with the doctors, saying we'd got the funeral out of the way for my brother, and we'd sort of said, Mum's not right, we could see our mental health deteriorating again, and off she went back into hospital in the September again. Poor Dad had sort of been put on the back burner, even though he had terminal cancer. He was sort of just left because his brother had died. We were having to go and empty his house and sort his funeral out. Mum was going back in the hospital, we were having to sort her out, and he was sort of left to his own devices, poor thing. He chose to have quality of life rather than quantity of life. So because he'd been a hospital porter, he chose not to have any radiotherapy or chemotherapy or anything.
Dad?
Because he'd seen cancer patients and chose not...
Being killed by the treatment.
Yep, absolutely. So he wanted to go to the pub every day for a couple of hours, and, he was quite dependent. To look at him, you wouldn't think he was terminally ill. He had a head of black hair at 66. But we didn't actually know how seriously ill he was. We didn't have any time limit.
Because he didn't care, or he enjoyed life as it was.
Absolutely, because he was still going out doing his day-to-day thing. And I'd sort of was saying to him, Dad, you really should, if you're starting to be in a lot of pain, you really should be looking at...
Dad started behaving like a patient.
Yes, you should really be going to have some treatment, because it's only going to be a matter of time before these tumours start interfering with your major organs. And he was like, no, while I'm all right now, I'll be fine. Come December, I always remember I went on a holiday for 2 weeks to Egypt.
December 14.
This was all in 2010.
Okay.
Brother died August the 11th, 2010. Mum had gone back into hospital in the September. And I always remember we'd had a family holiday booked for November. There was 15 of us going, and I'd sort of said to my sister, you need to come up and look after Mum, because I need this break with my family and have some normality. And off I'd gone on holiday. And I always remember Dad texting us every day saying, you so need this break, enjoy it, you've been through so much. So I really did, and then really ironically enough, I'd got a phone call, and Mum was speaking to one of our grandchildren, one of my two boys, and they'd said, Mum, my nana's normal, like her voice is normal, like what? And I'd had this conversation with my mum, miraculously thinking, oh my God, like what's happened, as if she just had a wand and she was better. And she got out on the 1st of December. So she'd gone to spend Christmas in Nottingham with my sister.
Other sister.
Yeah, and Dad was quite bad, so she'd said, can you wash Dad's feet? And I knew that was quite a big thing, because Dad was one of these old generation, old school men where he didn't need any help. So I thought maybe he's getting a little bit more
Needing
poorly.
help and accepting of needing help.
Absolutely. So I said, yeah, of course. So I'd sort of gone down, because I went 2 or 3 times a week anyhow. And in the December, he'd said that he wouldn't let us go to any hospital appointments. He didn't want us to go in, but he would let us drop off. And I just said to him, Dad, I really need to know what's happening. I don't want you to keep things from us, because I'm a patron for Macmillan. I know all about the cancer things, because I've raised like £140,000 for various charities. Yeah.
Wow.
So I've actually just been to a massive cancer conference in London in August, and it's sort of with cancer patients. I review books for Macmillan and Our Voices.
So you're very, very much involved with supporting Macmillan.
Absolutely. So anyhow, Dad had sort of come to us in December and said, I'm going to have some radiotherapy, which I thought was a bit odd. Why all of a sudden does he want to really have treatment when he's waited all this time? And he said, so you're going to get your wish and you're going to get to come to the hospital with us. And I thought, well, great, because if he's keeping anything from us, I'm going to get to
find out, yes.
So anyhow, Mum had got out of hospital in the December. Dad was starting to really complain. He hadn't eaten anything. He'd gone to the hospital he'd gone to the doctor's appointment on the 31st of December, which was the New Year's Eve, and they diagnosed him with a chest infection, which I thought was really bizarre. I was like, hold on a minute, Dad, you've got cancer.
Now, what are they talking about chest infection for?
You can't eat, and they're giving you antibiotics
for
chest
some
infection.
silly chest infection,
like,
some trivia.
Yeah, like what is this about? Which totally made him give up. And I was starting to get a little bit concerned then, still didn't have any inkling he was going to go. And anyhow, off we'd gone for his radiotherapy beginning of January. He'd started his radiotherapy one Wednesday and he was actually dead the next. So,
but he hung on till the end and enjoyed life right to the brim.
He did, but we didn't really.
And when he fell off the cliff, he fell off the cliff.
Absolutely.
He didn't like dragging down the side of a mountain like most people do.
Absolutely.
And as a doctor, let me tell you that the treatment of cancer kills more people than the cancer itself. And let me tell you, so many people whose cancers have got better. Cancer has also become an industry, and doctors run that industry and frightening people. I'm totally into Deepak Chopra and how people can cure the cancer.
Absolutely.
I'm much into Curlian photography and all that sort of stuff, and I've seen it work. So your dad, with his strong spirit, just enjoyed it till the last moment.
Which I can understand now, but at that time, we didn't have any inkling he was going to go. But obviously the radiotherapy, when I had to check the medical records when we'd got them after he passed, it did actually say
what keeps you together?
Now, because it's 4 years on,
but what kept you together at that time?
At that point, I just don't know.
Because there's the kids to look after, there's your sister who's far away, there's your mum who's in a loony bin, there's your dad dying of cancer, there's a brother pulling his blood out from his throat.
Yep.
What made you?
To be honest, I think.
You run a business, I believe.
I think, yes, at the time I did.
Two.
I think I just threw myself into my work, which was my coping strategy.
So it's either work or
fundraising.
Fundraising.
And obviously spending time with my kids, to be honest, at that
point.
But
this is after the death, isn't it?
In between. Well, my brother had passed away and I was raising immediately funds for intensive
So
care.
you were doing something for society.
Yeah.
You weren't hurting nobody.
Yeah.
You were doing some good and curing yourself.
Absolutely, yeah.
Wow.
But at that time, I think everyone was saying, I don't know where your strengths come from. And I was just thinking, well, I've never dealt with these things before, but you just get on with them. You've got to.
Where's your strength coming from? Just say, me.
Yeah, from me. I really didn't have any idea where it was coming from, to be honest.
Yeah, you don't need to be religious to have strength. Yeah. Some people need it. Some people grow beyond religion. And your faith in you is very strong.
Yeah.
You are your God.
So we took Dad in on the Friday. It started the radiotherapy on the Wednesday. We took him in on the Friday. All of a sudden, he was starting to fall asleep off the effects of the radiotherapy. And my mum had said she was phoning an ambulance. So we'd waited from 5 till 8 o'clock for an ambulance on the NHS.
And your mum's still fine?
Yep, she's absolutely with every health ailment going. She's got a list like this, but yeah, I believe it or not, she is. But we'd sort of phoned an ambulance, waited 3 hours, and I'd sort of rang the ambulance people up and said, listen, I've got a car here, I'm 2 minutes from the hospital, I'm taking him in. There wasn't a bed, and I'd sort of complained and said, listen, my dad's been sitting in this room in a wheelchair, he's got bone cancer, it's took us all my time to get him here. 3 hours, I think it's an absolute disgrace. And she said, I totally agree with you, I've got paramedics on 999 calls lining the corridor, and we can't even get them a bed. Cut a long story short, we'd sort of said Dad was going to be fine. He'll start his radiotherapy on the Monday. Maybe he had an infection, and they were going to keep him in. And that night, I'd sort of gone home and paced the floor. And I remember my husband, I'm not with him now, but I remember my husband saying, "Oh, don't be doom and gloom." I just knew natural instincts there was something wrong. And we'd gone into the hospital the next day, and Dad was pretending he was asleep. He wasn't. I think he was just overwrought with emotion and closing his eyes. And the doctors had said, Mr. Seafield had sort of said to them, "Here's me Dad," and she looked and said, "We're going to have to get the doctor to speak to you." So the doctor had asked Dad's permission to take me and my mum into the room, and I had my little boy with us at the time, who would have been about 9. So I said, "Lyndon, you stay with your granddad and talk to your granddad while we go." And I thought he would go into this room. I knew what this room was going to be saying.
The room of death. Isn't
Yes,
it?
absolutely. But I really thought they were going to come out and say it to us, "Your dad's got 6 months to live." And they said, "It's just a matter of days now. The cancer spread through your daddy's brain." I started hyperventilating with a shock. I was thinking, I'm getting married for Dad to be there. I wasn't initially thinking about that at that moment in time. But when you've just lost your brother 20 weeks previous, you know, it's just like, what? I can't believe this is really happening. And we'd made the choice not to tell Dad, because he was too poorly to understand. So we spent 70 hours with him, and he'd passed on the 19th of January. One of the things what really got to us at that time, because he'd been a partner in the hospital, and he'd pushed people to the mortuary, and he took people down to the theatre.
That's what his dad's job was.
In that hospital itself.
In the very hospital.
In that very hospital.
And now he's
Very
lying on
past.
a trolley where he's pushed on the same trolley other people.
Absolutely, yeah.
He's like a policeman.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, speaking of waiting as well, my grandmother was exactly like your dad. She was like, "No, I'm smoking
No
as much
fuss.
as I want. I'm doing my own thing. I will go to the galleries when I want." And I was like, "Okay, no problem." And my grandma used to always say to me, "If only you just didn't wear high heels." All our problem was the makeup was fine, but stop wearing high heels. I was like, "Okay." And I remember when I was called to the hospital because Grandma was really ill, but she did not care. She'd smoke 60 tabs a day because that's what she wanted to do. And I used to say to my dad, "Just leave her. She's happy. Like, just let her just have a really." She was like 97, like a long life.
Let her do what she wants to enjoy, yeah.
All the family were there, all the really close family that I would class was close to my gran. And then I was called, I was busy, but then I was like, "Oh, I'm coming, I'm on my way." All the way there, Dad was like, "You're going to have to cut, like, she hasn't got long left, what you doing? I was like, I'm on my way. 2 hours it took us to get there. So I walked in, we got, looked over at me shoes and went, "You haven't got heels on." And I gave her a kiss, and she just kind of passed away.
So if she's hung on
And I
with
was like, "What's going on?" So I freaked out. I was like, "She's gone." Crying me out. I didn't really understand. Wasn't really.
See, what you're proving, all of us, is the mind is much stronger. Much stronger than the doctor's tablets. You know, doctors berate placebo effect. I love placebo effects. If something makes you better, the doctor is a placebo.
Yep.
Going to the pharmacist is a placebo. The Bible is a placebo. The Quran is a placebo. The Gita is a placebo. They're all placebo. So the same people who are very religious and of the faith, but when the same bloody doctor goes into the surgery, it all has to be scientific. And I said, "Doc, do you know how your ballpoint pen works? Do you know how your mobile phone works? Do you know the firing order of a car? Why do you drive a car?" But they have to understand. I don't know how aspirin works. I haven't a bloody clue.
Yeah.
At the ultimate cell level, we don't know how these things work. And most of the drugs are by chance. You know, people are treated for tuberculosis and suddenly find people are feeling better. So the antidepressants, they're not antidepressants, they're chemicals whose one of the side effects is you feel better.
Yeah.
But anything good we like is called effects. Anything we don't like is called side effects.
My dad was having hormonal treatment, which was a pilot, because he had
What, anti-testosterone?
Because he'd had the prostate cancer,
prostate.
and it was in
Hormone treatment.
absolutely.
So it's a different
makes
hormone.
you quite depressed as well, doesn't it? 'Cause Dad was quite up and down with it, and it was just a pilot system, and obviously because they couldn't cure him because the cancer was into his bones. So from diagnosis to death, he'd lasted 2 years, but all it was doing was prolonging his life.
Yeah.
You
So
know,
he had 2 good years.
He did have 2 good years.
Yes.
And he lived it how he wanted to live it.
Yep, which is,
Which is the
and the
best.
Macmillan nurses come in and
You
said,
see, the
"Your
whole-
dad didn't want you to see him suffer. He went exactly which way he
The
went.
whole
quick."
hospice movement is to give you a good death.
Yeah.
And most humans don't accept they'll ever die. Doctors certainly don't.
Yeah.
I'll keep pumping you this, keep pumping you. Well, let the bugger go. There's a famous, you might have heard of Deepak Chopra or not.
I have heard Deepak
he's
Chopra.
7 days younger to me and not as good looking, but otherwise, he's from Delhi. He, as a medical student, he had an alcoholic coach, man who had a coach, and nobody loved him except Deepak Chopra. His family wouldn't come, which is very rare in India. That the family would be hanging around you, but nobody came because he was an alcoholic, probably beat his wife and everything like that, and went to prostitutes. So what? But anyway, Deepak Chopra liked him and supported him. And then Chopra said to him, "Look, I'm going this weekend. I'll be back next weekend. It's my sister's wedding or someone's wedding." So Deepak Chopra said, "I enjoyed the wedding. I came back and then I peered through the door and I thought, oh God, he's still there." He said, "I went near him, sat down, talked to him. And the fellow in his own croaky voice said, 'You thought I wouldn't be here, did you? I waited for you.' An hour later, he died."
Wow. Yes, it's funny how they hang on. The priest had actually
Yeah,
said
and that's
to me,
only a doctor, never mind family.
But do you not find it as well? You know, like as your father did, when they just kind of live their life and do what they want. They're not. I think they feel that they're not a burden. I think
Yes,
people
yes.
who go for treatment and they're really ill because of the treatment feel like they're a burden.
But-
Yes.
And you know what the truth is? Kind of do become one.
Yeah.
The truth of it is, because it's like it's such a difficult, and everyone's got the one. You know, you were getting married, you were trying to live your life. It in your mind, it wasn't a burden. But to some people,
To him, he actually thought, like, you know,
I'm a burden to
he
you. And
So
this is
for-
bad.
he kept on, and as much as he was very independent and didn't ask for much
That's what
help.
I'm saying. For independent people, it's very hard to be a patient.
Yeah.
Thank God for that.
He was that concerned that we'd been through so much with Mum and been through so much with my brother. He was actually kept on saying, I wish he would hurry up and get out of hospital. I wish it.
Yeah, but your father could see beyond his cancer
Yeah.
and was more concerned about his wife and his
Yeah.
children.
Yeah.
And maybe that's why he lived so long.
Yeah.
If he was only me, he'd die faster.
Yeah.
If you focus on something, it grows, you know.
I totally agree.
I know, in any form of medicine. I mean, there are people who'd run to the pharmacist for a minor sniff and a cough, man flu and all that. When there's a war, if your little finger gets chopped off, you don't feel the pain. And you know, there's another experiment, World War II, that they did when amputees had either saline or morphine post-op. They couldn't tell the difference as long as you kept telling the patient you're getting morphine.
Yeah.
So the whole world is a placebo. And the opposite is what many doctors do call nocebo. You are here for 6 months. Elvis Presley died within days of being told by the gypsy he died at 40.
Right.
I've had twins in my practice. A fellow, I knew that one of the twins and the other I never met because he lived in Manchester. The man of 70 he comes and say, Doc, my brother's died. I said, I didn't know your brother. No, I never told you. I knew some of the patients you get to know because you chat, you live in I used to live in the same area as my practice, which is another freaky thing to do. On top of my surgery premises. And only 4 people rang my doorbell, 3 of them justifiably and 1 I told them where to go.
Right.
You know,
do you
these
not-
all mythologies. Go on.
Do you not feel like, with you as well, with me, with your father, people that actually thrive for life, like live longer, live better, happier? Because I mean, I especially when I'm in the doctors, right? I go to the doctors and I see these people on like getting loads of like help for being like alcoholics and drugs. I just think, whatever, cut them off, get out, go away.
Bessie, what do you think on the subject of alcohol and come, say something. By the way, the mic is here.
All right.
Come join us.
No, it's Bessie, I'll give you a chair.
No, it's okay. I'll stand here. Yeah, I've got a niece who's an alcoholic, and I just think the money that it costs the government to keep one alcoholic is thousands and thousands of pounds, because alcoholics normally have an abusive relationship, then they have all their court costs, and like somebody that she has at the minute in 3 days in Crown Court, and then she's talking about, so he'll go to prison and we have to keep him, and then she will claim for criminal damages. So for one person, I can't, it must be thousands, it must be thousands and thousands of pounds. So why can't we put like thousands of pounds, it probably cost half, to actually try and stop her from drinking?
Well, there is a
Do you know
programme
what I
in
mean?
Sunderland for that. I disagree because obviously my brother was an alcoholic, and I know what you're coming from. I totally agree with where you're coming from. However, my brother had psychological childhood issues, which
No, but they need solving, not the alcohol.
Oh, then
Yeah.
so
That's what I mean.
I've had childhood.
No, that's
No,
psychological
the
issues.
alcohol is a
That's what I'm
symptom. The alcohol is a
They
symptom.
come from, that's most alcoholics have.
yeah.
They have other issues.
Yeah.
No, the issues are the issues.
To
not-
sort them out.
rather than the alcohol.
Not like
Okay,
to
can I-
spend
Yeah.
money
Yeah.
on like keeping them going.
Yeah.
We fund alcoholics.
You're right, because he did get.
No,
I mean,
no.
he did get benefits for his depression.
Absolutely, they get
So,
funded.
and that funded his drink. So I do agree with that.
I mean,
aspect.
I love my niece, and the thing is, I would like her to get better. Instead of the government and spending that to keep her as an alcoholic, I'd like the money to be spent into why she drinks.
Yes.
Why does she drink? Let's do therapy on her.
Totally
Let's
agree.
get her off the drink.
Yeah.
And you know what? Wouldn't life and people be better off?
So I know the NHS is doing a programme with them, what they choose
Right.
to do,
Yeah.
where you know, they sort of look at if they want that support. But I always used to say to my brother, you know, why don't you go to rehab? I'll pay for you to go to rehab. Why? No, I need a drink. I can't. I said, there's no such word as can't. It's don't want to, I won't.
It's the government we're in.
Yeah.
Drinking's bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's illegal then.
But they
Cancel it
promote
out.
it.
But of course, because we pay
They
money on it,
promote
because they
it
make
for
money of it.
taxes.
Like cigarettes. I'm a massive, like, my uncle has an MS, and he lives with my nana Pat. He's an amazing gentleman, artist. He's just he's so like, because I don't really have much connection with my dad. My uncle, I'm like, I think he's really cool. Like he's just so cool. He's like a big artist.
Your dad's dad?
No. My uncle is my dad's brother.
Your dad's brother.
And
that's
he's
what I meant.
just this, just phenomenal man. And he had a joint, and he felt great, and it helped him.
Oh yeah.
And he has a few drinks, and it feels better, and it helps him. That's fine.
Moderation.
These people who I'm sometimes scared to walk along the street because they're rolling around holding a bottle of cider, and you think, and it's not just them, because my sister has a few alcohol problems because of her personal circumstances, and so have everyone else, right? So it's not just the guy walking along the street, because it could be the girl driving around the Porsche.
Oh, it's usually the middle class.
Do you know what I mean?
One that's got a bottle of wine every night.
It should be the government that actually stops it and helps us. Yeah. And I think it's us. It's our way of running away and not facing up to our true demons. Like
it is. It's a form of escape.
It's a form of escape.
Absolutely.
But it should just be done. Everything needs to be done in moderation.
Yeah.
Monitor it, as they like to say, and do it like in moderation.
Even dropping headphones should be in moderation.
And you're fine. But when everything seems to be abused and like it's horrible, it's just disgusting. And
Really.
like for instance, your brother's life was put through what it was put through.
47-year-old, he would have lived. The actual said intensive care that it takes 10 years for alcohol to catch up and show in his system, so you could drink and drink and drink and drink for 10 years.
I was going to say she's now on Antonelli.
And you can see the eyes start to go yellow, and you know. But getting back to Dad dying and getting back to that point when I thought he was a porter, you expect the care now. The care in intensive care was fantastic because it's one-on-one, and they'd sort of said once your dad had gone in, make sure he doesn't get forgot about in the side room. For him working for the NHS for years and years, I'd sort of gone downstairs when he'd passed away and said to the porter's room, "Can you make sure you look after me, Dad?" Because I'd heard horror stories where they've got no respect for the bodies, what's in there, and they sort of caught them around. My dad had been in the mortuary, told us these stories of what they'd done. So, and they said, yeah, we'll look after him. He died at 5 o'clock in the morning. They pronounced him dead at 6 o'clock. 3 o'clock that afternoon, he was still lying in that bed because they'd had another death on the ward. So one of my neighbours had gone to visit my dad, had no idea that he died, and here she found his body lying in the bed.
Oh my God.
Now, when I was at the Macmillan cancer
That's when you need a bottle of wine. That's the time you pick up the bottle of wine.
I'm sure. And when I was at the Macmillan Cancer Conference, the Department of Health was saying there was a public inquiry for exactly the same thing happening in a hospital wherever down the country. So that's a good way to put it across. But sort of once he'd passed, when I got married, my oldest son at the time was 14. He had to walk us down the aisle, so it was quite emotional because he wasn't there. And then we had Mum back into hospital, and she was being whipped from intensive care herself with her physical health problems back into intensive care, and it was just never ending, really.
It's the care system as well, like you've just said, like the way your father was trying, the way everyone seems to be trying. I always hear stories of bad stories. I never hear someone go like, "Oh yeah, I had my operation, it was amazing, I was totally successful." I had my operation, complete failure. I collapsed in the middle of town. I was pouring blood because I wasn't looked after properly. And then I went, and then I went back and got more. Well, how can you have aftercare if I'm getting an operation in London, and I live in Chester? How can you get aftercare? Because you know when you go to the doctor, I was ill, right? Once I was ill, but 7 months ago I was ill. I went to the doctors. The doctors have not got a clue about what's going on. The
body,
what do? We don't know what to do. We're scared to touch you. Oh, great, you make me feel more accepted. Thanks very much for that. So I'm sitting on the bed thinking, you're scared to touch us? What do you mean? I'm in pain. I don't know what to do. And it should be. I know it sounds bad. There should be people who know everything about me, everything about everything in every place. So you've got someone to go to.
How many transgender people are there in the Northeast?
I have no idea.
How many of them are in the Newcastle area?
I have no idea.
Couldn't there one GP who say, I'm happy to learn about it, know about it, treat it? No, but don't have to be a specialist, but I mean, just a minute.
Someone who especially knows.
Well, I suppose that's anybody, isn't it?
I've come and touched you. So what happened? Nothing. You know, this is what I'm saying. People are
his
like
breasts
that.
are growing. Look at his boobs.
No, but the point I'm making is you can have doctors who do surgery, minor surgery, not your level. That you can have doctors who specialize in diet. I brought a an Indian Muslim doctor here 3 times to talk to the Muslims during fasting. Because they all fast, they all get fat. Because at night they overstuff. But being a practicing Muslim, he can tell them what not to eat and when.
Yeah.
A mullah would know nothing about health. Most doctors, especially white ones, would know nothing about Islam. But there are combinations. It's called outside the box thinking.
I think diet's got a lot to do with it, because I know prostate cancer, diet, I've reviewed a lot of books for that, and my dad was the world's worst. He
Well,
liked his
why would doctors be interested in anything that doesn't make money for the drug industry? Tell me.
Well, I agree, and this is a big controversy here, because I know a woman who passed away from cancer, and her wish was to meet one of the X Factor girls who I was currently managing, Charlie Moore from Hope, and I took her along to meet her, and her cancer drugs were costing £1,400 a week or a month, I can't remember which now, and she had to die because the NHS couldn't fund
No,
her.
but there are people sitting in hospital at £1,000 per day, and when you need a stair lift for a lady, an old lady, she'd be rather sitting in hospital waiting for 3 coats, and the coats may be £1,000, £1,200, £1,100, just a matter of few hundred. But the woman will stay in the hospital till the coats come, costing her 5, 6, 10, £15,000. It's still the Queen's money, you know. It's the same bugger's faces on the notes. But we act as if hospital is a different country, ambulance is a different country. There's no joined up thinking, you know.
I totally agree.
I have felt passionately for this country for wasting money. Most English people don't mind. They don't care. The ambulance service in Newcastle was run by Durham Ambulance, and there wasn't even GPSs that time. Whatever's cheap, you know. Why do you want Durham Ambulance running Newcastle ambulance service?
But what about the night my dad got called in? You know, my friend's dad passed the same night. She waited from 4 o'clock to 12 o'clock for a 999 call from.
How can that be? How can 99
can you
be?
justify that?
How 6 hours on 999? So what will be a routine pickup be next year?
Yeah, absolutely. And then you've got all of these waiting for a bed, and they say there's not a bed.
No. The waiting lists are created for doctors' convenience. The waiting lists make private practice grow.
I totally agree.
That's all it is. You know.
I understand what you're saying. I totally agree where you're coming from. But like the reason my first surgery failed is because when I rang and said, "Oh, there's a problem. I feel really ill," I waited 6 months. Yeah. How it's not going to be the same. It's going to obviously be worse. And at 6 months, I went down, and they went, yeah, it's completely prolapsed. It's gone. And I was just.
But that would be for GPs who have.
But why was I made to wait 6 months?
Why isn't there somebody who can see you immediately?
Yeah,
I don't know.
I know.
It's not.
Wrong.
I mean,
it's wrong. Same as CT scans, you've got to wait a certain amount of time. Same as Dad's hospital records. The records where he'd gone to see at the New Year hadn't been faxed over to his GP in time when I got the medical file. Hence why the doctor had given him antibiotics for a chest infection. If they'd realised and got that, just because they were probably the hospital staff were wanting to go out on New Year's Eve, so they couldn't be bothered to send the fax over to the GP of the day before. Then if they had...
Which year is this?
This was for urology, because Dad was going to Sunderland Hospital.
Which year? I know you're from Sunderland.
2011. Sorry, 2011.
Emails were around then?
Absolutely. So, you know, why was this...
Why is the NHS so incommunicative? I mean, my mother's in hospital just now. Somebody rings from leaves a message on my mobile phone. First of all, it's you can't see their numbers. Like, are we all pedophiles waiting for these 14-year-old girls who run the hospital? What the hell? Why can't I see their number? St. Townend, who are not even a hospital service, they withhold their number when they ring me.
But it's not just that as well. It's all these 0800s.
Yes,
and all them
yes.
numbers.
Okay, so I ring back.
I can't afford to ring them sometimes.
Okay,
you know what I mean?
and I ring back the hospital. But some bugger's talking about his auntie Nelly for the next 2 hours. So that line is blocked.
It's lack of communication.
Because they don't want communication.
They don't. But
they want
why?
the waiting list.
If,
it suits.
If the doctor saying it actually said in the medical records that he was going to have radiotherapy and to expect complication, and that offered him palliative care. Well, he didn't tell us any of this because it was right on Christmas and he didn't want us to know. So why, on that note, is the doctor then, because they haven't sent that fax, they're giving him antibiotics for a chest infection? My dad just
so do you not feel a lot of the time in the health service, like in any religion, it's just religiosity. Yeah. It's medicalosity that's running the scheme. There's nothing to do with the patients. It's like the communist system. The elbow doesn't know the back end.
It's a letdown, really.
It's real letdown. I mean, I criticize the NHS. Obviously, when I leave this country, I praise it to hell because the others are much worse. There's no compare.
Yeah.
You know, I've
got a good NHS at some points when you look at it like that. To other countries.
But the needs are, but the resources and the needs are far excess of the resources. You know.
Would you agree that cancer patients, in my eyes, I think a cancer patient should have a priority? If you're going into a casualty, whether you've come on a 999 call or whether you've come off a car because you can't get an ambulance.
No, the anxiety is so high. The word cancer is so frightening, even on that level. And, you know, and there should be much more support for the people, much more. I mean, breast cancer survival rate is 5 years, okay? 50% of the women die of breast cancer when they have breast cancer. But the ones who are fighters, they live for very 100%. The ones who are kind of acceptant live 60%.
So do you have to be a fighter in this day and age to survive?
Yes. Yes.
Ridiculous.
Yes.
Prostate cancer.
Yes. Don't be a patient. If you're a patient, you're screwed.
Yeah. got to be a
But
fighter.
then,
But in
then,
my-
then again,
Nah. You get what you deserve, you know. It's simple.
But a lot of people, including myself, abuse their bodies. So you
Well,
know
then
what?
suffer.
If you're
Suffer.
if you're gonna absolutely, so if you're gonna abuse your body, then
Don't use the national health
don't
then.
use your national health.
Yes.
I think the national health should be there. Like alcoholics on Friday night. You know, sorry, pay for your treatment.
Yes.
Because it's
I agree.
it's
I agree.
self-abuse,
I agree.
including myself.
Well,
I mean, I drink. I'm
you
not
know,
I like a drink.
you
I-
know, or if you smoke, then you know there's a cost to that, and so therefore, I think everybody. I think the NHS needs
Abused.
to.
We have learned through the
adjust
NHS that
itself.
there's
Like,
that.
for
It's not
instance-
changed.
For instance, you know when I referred to the conversation I had with my partner, how my opinion, then I kind of do believe in it a little bit. If you're if you're too old and you're not going to blend in, why waste your money? Because once you've had the surgery and you're done, you're going to go out and you're going to have more hassle. You're going to cost the government. You're going to just going to be a constant.
No, you don't cost the government. You cost taxpayers.
You cost taxpayers
It's a
more,
taxpayer.
more.
Yeah.
But the thing is as well, how, like, for instance, and this, if I was 40, right, and I looked like a big bloke, I wouldn't have surgery. I would meet a lovely guy, because if I was gay, who understood us, and I would become like, I would dress up once in a while to get to be me. I wouldn't change my gender to be more scrutinised, because it's hard enough looking
Then-
just like...
But then you talk to a 40-year-old person who's lived in the wrong body,
And
all
they
their
want it
years.
so bad.
They want it so bad.
So that's why
Then
when
you might get the argument of people saying, although you might get the ignorant people saying, why should that be done on the NHS?
Exactly.
Exactly.
That's what I'm saying. That's why when my partner had to explain it, and I thought, yeah, you're right. My opinion was wrong when I said the other day, but it's wrong and it's right. It's kind of
Yeah, I know.
it's slap in your face. Like I understand where you're coming from, but he's waited so long. Yes, but then it boils down to stop discriminating everyone. Let
Well,
us just
that's
be
one
us. He
aspect.
wouldn't have done it as 40,
The other, the other side is not only just discrimination. Stop being so bloody mealy-mouthed. I took my son. He had swollen fingers. Ashish, who you know so well, he had swollen fingers. And this lovely lady doctor, about 37, 38, she would be young consultant, very sweet, very kind, very blah blah blah. Everything was nice. She said, "I suppose it would be a good idea if you reduced your alcohol intake." I said, "Shish, she's asking you to stop." Outside, he says, "Dad, why couldn't she tell me that?" I suppose it. Don't bloody suppose, man.
My dad used
You're
to
a
go out.
doc. Tell my son straight. Stop your bloody drinking, you idiot.
My dad used
And he
to go
did, you know, and he's
2
much
pints.
better. Sorry.
Sorry. My dad used to go out for 2 pints a day, and that was it. He would go to work, go at the pub for 2 pints. And
Sure.
you know, in his medical files, that was classed as excess alcohol.
Yeah.
For 2 pints a
2
day.
pints a day.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I
2 pints a day.
smoke. I smoke quite heavily.
I do.
And you know, like if I was given, and I worked enough and had all the money, and I was told this is how much your treatment's going to cost because I'm getting cancer or whatever, I would happily pay it because I know that I brought it on myself.
Exactly.
Yes.
I would happily pay that.
Yeah.
For instance, if people transition when they're older and they know it's going to be harder because, you know, you don't blend in as well, like you don't fit society's little picture that everyone has, you know, I don't know why, but we just don't sometimes, then you're going to cost the taxpayers more money because you're going to want counselling, you're going to be depressed, you'll probably try and commit suicide more. So make the decision and make it right. Because if I was 40, this is me, I'm not telling everyone else to do it. If I was 40 and I knew after all this surgery, because the NHS will only give you so much help, as I said before.
Yeah.
My friends can't get the throats, the hair done.
yeah.
Like, I was lucky, all my hair's mine. I was lucky.
Did you get your throat done?
I
Because you sound really
I
feminine.
no, that wasn't to feminise. It was just to take the image of the Adam's apple away.
Right.
I had my throat done. I had downstairs done. I've had a lot of treatment, right? But for someone that is older, it's more risky as well. If you're gonna do it, be happy to do it, but be understanding it's gonna be really hard, and that worries me because I don't want them to do it, and then to like commit suicide, like, oh no, because like everybody deserves to be happy, so do it.
I think life's all about choices, and when you say about happy, like, you know...
But it's a good society again.
It
Like
is.
for instance, this is on my life. I was in a pub and this gentleman was scrutinised. Oh, you're an alkie. He only has 1 pint a week, right? You know why they thought he was an alkie? Because he was skinny and frail, because he had cancer.
And see, some
He was
people
ill.
prejudge, that's
And
shocking.
if we just stop discriminating, the whole of society stops discriminating,
quick to judge.
shut your mouth, and just let everyone get on with it, would be really happier.
It would.
Because it's ridiculous. I'm sick of hearing of another trans person being
Carry on. Ignore.
killed or being raped or killing themselves because it's so hard. They should just let everyone just be. Like I was explaining before, a natural born woman can go and get help with having children. I can't.
Yeah.
No, why? Why can't I? I should have the same right as a woman because I'm a woman.
Yeah.
But I don't. So even the doctor discriminates as to how am I ever going to feel accepted? And it's stupid. And the thing is, I'm strong, I'm independent, and I've got a massive fire in us. I know people who haven't. I was on a train recently, and this person called us a tranny, and I wasn't really called as a name. It doesn't bother me. But I said, don't do that because you could do it to the wrong person. Someone who just had the worst news in the world goes home that night because you've just called them a name and it's gone.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Not someone like me. I'm like, ha ha ha.
If I looked
whatever.
at you in the street, I wouldn't prejudge anyway, but I would never ever know any different.
Well, that's very, very nice, and I really appreciate that. But there is some people that you would know, and they get so much discrimination.
Even if I did, I still wouldn't.
Exactly. I once, when I was in the medical centre, it was so weird. It came over subconsciously. I followed a group of trans people around the medical centre. It was really weird, right? For 2 hours. Watching, I wanted to see what it'd be, and they got so much crap.
It's wrong.
And it was, for 2 hours they got crap, and every time they walked ahead of me, I'd say, hey, you're wrong, you know. So I was like, it was horrible.
You was like a vigilante for them.
It was horrible to watch these individuals who were just nice people, who were just, tranny, bloke, that's a bloke. Kids whispering to the parents of my child said that, I would go, what on earth are you on about? I would chastise that child straight away. It's because it's accepted. Yes, little boy, that is a tranny. Ha ha ha. Laugh with father.
Do you think?
For 2 hours.
Do you think that the National Health Service started with very basic needs of people when they had cholera, typhoid, smallpox, all those very basic things, atmosphere being cold, water being polluted, and so on? They did that. Then it overgrew its existence, and now we'll treat some ideas as well. Then we'll treat psychological illness, and I think psychiatry is a load of bollocks. There's nothing in it. Then the psychiatrist is as nutty as the patients, and this after 36 years working in Britain and having worked in psychiatry, and I've done 9 years in the drug and alcohol unit as well. I think often the psychiatrist is more ill than the patient because they absorb the karma.
Sometimes I think it's a stigma as well, because my mum was in mental health for 14 months.
Yes.
And at one point I'd said to the doctor, listen, there's something not right here, the psychiatrist, there's something not right here, because my mum would have a nervous breakdown and be in hospital 6 weeks and she'll be out and she'll be fine.
Yeah, but now she's institutionalised.
There's some other diagnosis. So they'd give her ECT, electric shock treatment, which is quite harsh, hoping to the brain back in.
Well, you might as well put a pickaxe in the brain.
Yes, and it's awful, and the side effects of that is horrendous. Then halfway through I'd said to the psychiatrist, I think my mum's got bipolar, I've got the key signs of it. No. All comes to all, halfway through her electric shock treatment, they decided to terminate that because she actually had bipolar and she should never have had it in the first place.
Wrong diagnosis?
So after all these months,
but this whole idea of diagnosis is wrong in psychiatry, you know. Whatever drugs you give, 70% of people get better, which tells me that the diagnosis is of no value. We are all bipolar slightly, we are all schizophrenic slightly, but we recover. Well, people who get stuck in that mold, often I think psychiatric patients are having a spiritual experience.
That's really really interesting. I'm quite a spiritual person.
Oh my God, it's so weird as well. My partner suffers from schizophrenia and psychosis, and I have a really different approach to him. I'm
don't
not
mother him.
Oh, you're ill. Tell me about it. I'm like, tell us about it. Well, that sounds really irrelevant. Is it going to affect us?
Yeah.
And my partner went from strength to strength.
Because you treat him like a normal, average human.
He surrounds himself with certain people who
will talk illness all the time.
Yeah, and the doctors. My
Negativity.
friend who does. It's not like it's like a meditation type of thing. I can't even remember the name. She came and met him and she said like, oh, he's spiritual. It's not, because he went to a doctor and they went, you've got schizophrenia. He didn't go to a spiritualist and they go, oh, you're a conduit and we can feel. Do you know what I mean? I feel like that.
I've got a sight
again. We live by labels, you know. If you tell someone they're schizophrenic, they are schizophrenic. If you go to a different
country, I mean, Philippines.
Yeah.
Imagine the Philippines being in Newcastle. I'd be on stage dancing around being called a goddess because I was a tea girl. Over there, we're goddesses and some over Britain, we're punished and scripted.
Yeah, on some parts of Philippines, people actually nail themselves to the cross to feel like Jesus.
Really?
Yeah. You can see videos of it. I mean, humans are the strangest creatures I've ever met.
Isn't it strange? Sorry, just for talking to yourself,
Bessie,
and talking to this gentleman.
No, I'm not a gentleman. I'm Dr. Anand.
I find us all on the same plane.
Yeah.
And so
it is
many
acceptance.
It is crazy.
Crazy,
Just,
isn't it?
it's like, I feel like,
Okay,
just leave us alone.
my wife and I, my second wife that I've lost now, and I used to run courses for therapy in our house. Complementary therapy.
I
is
believe
not,
in complementary and
yeah.
alternative and holistic
Well, you call it
therapies.
alternative because the health service is the predominant religion.
But the health service actually do have alternative therapies and
Now,
so on. They don't have them now.
But I think the complementary therapies are the real therapies, the health service if you fall ill.
Actually, I remember your story now. You've just mentioned that. 'Cause
Which
I
one?
remember you've got a really inspirational story
Oh,
about
my-
losing 2 wives and you something with your son. I remember you telling us.
Well,
all the rest of it.
the story I tell often is we taught medical students. There were 16 of them. We got paid well. Anthea chose to have a migraine. You know, migraines don't happen. She chose to have a migraine. So little me, who's not interested in washing dishes, washed up and so an hour and a half late. We go there and there's a row of women. It's Orange Tree. It's a health center.
I've seen it, yeah.
Yeah. So Orange Tree, we went there and there were a row of women sitting only. And I said, what is this? They said it's a hen party. I didn't make the obvious joke, the male gender of the hen. I didn't say anything. But Anthea, my wife, said, I'm going to sleep now. I'm still very tired. You have driven. Why don't you go and sit with them? I said, it'll be boring, man. They're all Yorkshire women. They're like a clan, and I'm an outsider. She said, go and try it for size. Have the guts to. So I went and sat down. In the beginning, they felt awkward. That one Asian male. They're all women, by the way. Half of them are nurses in the same hospital. So it's like a hen party, and they're staying together. And I sat back. For once, I proceeded to evaporate into the wall. Normally, I'm right in the middle. And they were talking, and one says, one of the ladies let off wind. The other says, stop trumping. So I didn't know the word trumping. I've learnt a word. And then one says, my skirting board in my daughter's room is pink. What color curtains would you choose? I said, bloody hell. If a bloke told me what to do, I'd punch him in the face. And these women are from Venus, obviously, and they collaborate. And I realized at that moment, men are so competitive.
Did you ever read that book, Men Are From Mars, Women?
Yeah. I've read all those kind of self-help books.
yeah.
But the
Where
other
am I
one,
from then? Am I from Pluto?
you're from Pluto.
Yeah, I must be from Pluto, but it's fine. It's fine. There'll be a bar there for us, and there'll be a little club where we can all sit and talk.
Yeah.
It'll be brilliant.
But you know, these are stereotypes to begin to understand. There is no stereotype, really.
There is, because I mean, I was watching, you know, all these programs that you see on the telly about trans people. I think they make us look bad.
Yeah.
I mean, I watched that Tran holiday account on Channel 4. I was horrified. We don't go on like that. It's all televised. Like I was saying to you, I want to go out and see the real people
proper,
and meet them. And I want someone to say to me, which I would love someone to say to me, help.
Yeah.
Please help me.
Yeah.
I'm 40.
Do you think terrorism would exist without television?
Probably not, no.
You know, 9/11.
Isn't that the reason people only turn the telly on these days anyway?
Is to enjoy terrorism. Now people are watching 88,000 Frenchmen chasing two little idiots,
I don't even
lunatics.
watch TV. I don't even know
But
what's going
TV
on
is
about.
for that. TV entrances you. Oh, this what's this program? Big Brother. What kind of nutters are these? You know. And now you got a
All
Big
this
Brother.
reality TV and all
What's the
other
reality?
show.
This is reality. And you'll be on YouTube
But
very
then when
soon.
kids watch that, what's they're going to turn out?
Yes, exactly.
But the thing is, as well, I know a lot of the Geordie Shore cast. I was in the final.
I've met some of them.
I was in the final of Geordie Shore to go on.
I know,
It's
I know
all
really well who's got
television.
it.
It's all they tell you what to do, and that's probably the reason I never went on. But I know, like Charlotte, she is lovely. I couldn't go out with her. She went on out when I went out drinking on the show, but she's not like that in real life.
I know.
Like the experience you watched. Have you watched the experience?
Producers know what
The Charlotte Cosby experience was phenomenal. She was just her. It was funny. It was great, and it was her. When she's on that show, she's portrayed horrific, and she's not even that. She's not even like that.
But that's why.
No, but
that's what people want to watch.
But aren't they caricatures?
That's the scary
They're not
thing.
real people, so we are showing caricatures of people that we wish to become. Whether it's porn, or whether it's natural, or whether it's abnormal, or whether it's a nice, cute romance. It is a fantasy.
I think
It's all a fantasy.
That's the scary thing. It's people watch it and want to watch it.
Well, one black
That
guy,
to me is the
one
scary
black guy
thing.
shot a policeman, a white policeman, in the days when black people killed white, and the other way around in America at the minute. He just shot him right between the eyes, and the judge said, "Look, son, I know you made a mistake. Why?" He says, "I cannot distinguish between a PlayStation and real life, because the PlayStation games and all these Wii and all become so real." And children are playing it all the time, that they won't see you and me as real people.
But you see, we talk about discrimination and fear and stuff. When I was younger, and I would go out and I would sometimes get into like brawls. I was in a fight that was started by a bunch of girls on me. I was stronger because I was pre-op, and I fought back. I was kicked down the stairs by big bouncers who called me a tranny as I was kicked down the stairs. Pinned to the floor, arrested, taken to court. This girl was trying to say she was left deaf. You know where she was on the day of the case? At work in a call centre. How was she left partially deaf if she's at work? And the judge laughed and went, I'll give you a supervision order, my darling. You defended yourself, but we have to give you something. I would be scared now, if I was younger, to go forward to the police, because the police say to me now, what's your former name? Like it's some sort of
Well.
Tell me your former
excuse
name.
me.
And I'm like, I don't want it.
I'll tell you a trick. When I was videoing and driving at the same time, the policeman said, "Oh no." I said, "I didn't do this." He said, "No. But what's your Christian name?" I said, "I'm a Muslim. I'm not a Muslim. I'm deeply offended you called me a Muslim." And the fellow didn't know what to do with himself. He shat in his pants.
Well, you see the word transgender, and I still see people these days going, "What's that?" What? Oh, sorry. What's that? Oh, yeah, is it the guy that dresses in a dress and sings on a stage? No, I'm not that.
Okay.
I'm not a drag queen.
We've had a wonderful talk, and for the first time in my life on radio, I've kept quiet for 15 minutes when you three were going on. I shall never have three peculiar women in the show. Thank you very much. Namaste, adab, sat sri akal.
Speak for yourself.
Well,
I haven't been called a freak for a long time.
me and me are both freaks then. But what's a freak? Someone who's different.
We're all different.
And if you your pupil is different, your thumb impression is different. Every snowflake is different. But man, in particular, women less, are scared of the difference. Why should I be scared of a Muslim? If he believes something differently, go and pray at home. I have no problem. Why should I be scared of a Christian? It doesn't bother me really, but people are scared. And all this posturing with guns and all is because the idiots are scared. They're uneducated louts, basically. I'll send you a link for how to produce a suicide bomber. It's on TED Talks. Don't laugh. I do funny things, don't I? Yeah. But you listen, if you are living in the mountains with 20 other siblings, because a dad has got many wives and lots of siblings, you have no you have no iPhone, you've got no this, no sex, no anything to do with yourself sexually either. What do you think will happen if somebody comes and says, I'll give you 2,000 rupees per month and I'll take this child away for education? The mother jolly well knows it's for suicide bombing. But that's how suicide bombers are produced. And if 24 hours you're mugging one book, it could be let's forget terrorists. Think of doctors. They mug just one book, anatomy. They see people as an anatomy. I'm looking at you, I can see your nasal bones, I can see through your skull. Rubbish, is a human being, So it is, faith and belief are self-imposed. It doesn't come from outside, and people pretend. I mean, I say things that people don't like, but that's me. If you don't like me, don't talk to me. Yeah. But I have the fortune of living in Britain. India is not as good, but pretty damn good, I mean, India has still 85% Hindus. Extremely tolerant. I mean, there was a movie called PK, which I'd love to sit and watch with you. It doesn't have subtitles. But when the real stuff comes out, it is a very challenging movie. He says, in church you wear shoes, in temples you wear barefoot, in church you serve wine, the Muslims hate wine. So which of them is right? Well, they're all right and they're all wrong. It's what you believe. So, when did you realize?
2 sisters and 2 brothers.
How do they see you now?
As a female, as a sister.
No, so you're good friends with them?
Yeah, very close.
Your family accepts?
My sister and my mum are my rock.
Okay, so they accept you totally?
100%.
Dad finds it a bit harder?
My dad's side of the family do find it a little bit harder.
Are you the eldest?
I was my dad's only son at one point.
Yes, and now that's gone.
Yeah, so
that's a big loss to him.
Yeah, and but my mum as well. My mum, for nearly 2 years, felt like her son had died.
Yes, it had.
I was a different person.
It had.
And it was hurtful.
Yes, indeed, and you do understand that.
Oh God, yeah.
Because any time you change your gender or your religion, not different. If you change your religion, people do exactly the same things. Or if you change your belief system, or if you start voting Labour to Conservative.
I was going to say, if you change generally, people don't like it.
Sexuality,
people don't like change.
Anything. Because, for instance, my father expected me to do football and go fishing and have a family and get married.
Be his mate.
Yeah, and be his mate.
Well, you have a family and you have gotten married in a way.
Well, I've
but
had
not
a
his
relationship,
way.
But just not
his style.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're born in County Durham, and what did your parents do job-wise, just to get a sense of them?
My dad owns his own company.
Doing what?
Rising Star Karaoke's. He's like a DJ.
So he's out in the public a lot.
Yeah, he
So
is.
he should understand you a lot more.
I think deep down my father was just scared for me. He knows what the world's like because he's older than me.
Yeah.
And I think he was
Sorry,
just,
your dad's older than you.
Yeah.
That's a new one.
yeah, but you know what I mean. He's older than me,
You
so
know, my dad's younger than me.
I think he
Yeah.
was just really scared.
Well, fear
Fear,
and anger
yeah.
and jealousy and hate are all exactly the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Men generally stereotypically express it in anger. If you drop some weight on the foot, he'll say, oh, S-H-I-T. Whereas women will say sugar. It's the same thing.
Well, I wouldn't, but yeah.
But then who says you're a normal woman and I'm a normal male and she's a normal female? We are three freaks here, man. You are not like the other blokes just beating up other kids and playing with conker.
Probably when I was the one getting beat up.
Why were you beaten up?
I was very, very feminine in school.
So, like Billy Elliot.
Yeah, a little bit like Billy Elliot, but I think even my teachers, not just my fellow pupils, were so uneducated. I can remember one of my teachers referring to me as, well, you are obviously gay. And when you're young, you just think, oh, so I'm gay. Well, at least I know. It wasn't until I was 15, 16, till I actually understood what, like, transgender was, feeling that I wasn't right. Because I never found two males together appealing at all. It wasn't me. It didn't feel right. But then when I feminized myself, it felt more comfortable and more right to me. So I kind of accepted myself rather than waiting for everyone else to accept me. I think that was the biggest challenge. Accept yourself, and who cares what the rest of the world thinks.
Yeah.
Well, this morning a friend of mine says, I feel very weak. Who should I pray to? I said, look in the mirror and pray to yourself. There is no outside, you know. God is my projection.
Yeah. Yeah.
People don't like what I say, but God is just my
It's
projection.
hard to do that though in society. That's where I think Faye, you know, is.
That's why we have her here, is to
great,
say-
yeah, absolutely,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
people go through the whole life
Hmm.
So now society needs to
denying.
change. I mean,
Absolutely.
I've lost what 16 years of my life
Yeah.
because
Pretending to be a bloke.
pretending to be a boy, going fishing, playing football.
I don't go fishing. I don't play football.
But you know what
Maybe
I mean?
I should.
Things
Maybe
my
I.
dad wanted me to
Yeah,
do.
yeah.
Will you tell me where your where the
Trying
opera?
to fit in.
Yeah, I was trying to fit in.
Okay, at 68, can I go and have a change?
I think you need to. But yeah, I mean, it was just.
So okay, let's go slowly. You were say 5 years old or 3 years old in your primary school, and it was all nice. The boys had bonnets and knickerbocker clothes. There's no gender differentiation
Yeah,
like that.
when
In
you're
primary school, they're all babies, man.
Yeah, in primary school, nobody knows.
Yeah.
Once you get older and people start seeing you're different.
No, but when did you feel or they felt you were odd because you had a soft voice or your man?
It's Red Hot Radio. Spice FM 98.8 FM.
Namaste, Adab, Sat Sri Akal. It's Dr Anand here, starting a bit late because all our talk shows are end to end, bumper to bumper. I wish it should be a very interesting show. I always bring super interesting people. Boring people are not allowed to come within 100 yards of me. I've got a police, what's it called? People can't, when husband and wife fight and...
An injunction.
Injunction. I have an
yeah.
injunction for boring people. They can't come to the show. So here you go. And I'll put it on Facebook today. I've just sat in with the hour discussing terrorism and France. It is very sad what's happening. It's really, really sad. On the one hand, I do agree there is no need to jibe people and irritate people. But the people who are being jibed should also look, why are they teasing us? People need to understand. The Muslim community in France needs to understand, why are they against you? Why aren't they doing against Sikhs and Hindus and Jains and Buddhists and atheists and gays and transvestites and people who reassign their bodies? Which brings us neatly to our guest. Go on, tell us who our guest is and how you met, and go on, tell us.
Our guest is Faye Perdingham. Has got the name right?
Faye Perdingham.
Perdingham.
Perdingham, okay.
Yeah, Faye Louise. And I met Faye Louise in a pub. St. Peter's Basin.
Uh-huh.
And I have a casting agency for television.
Anyone for TV.
Anyone for
Keep
TV.
plugging, it's all right.
Yeah.
It's free.
a bit of publicity in there.
Is there anyone for TV?
Anyone who wants TV, here we are, yes.
And I got chatting to Faye, and I said, you should go on our website.
Uh-huh.
To be honest, I didn't...
How long ago was this?
Probably 2 years ago now.
Right.
I didn't realise Faye used to be a boy.
Say that again.
Faye used to be your boy.
She looks like a girl, like.
So I think is it transgender? You
I
like?
am transgender.
Yeah,
I was pre-op
yeah.
at one point before the operation.
Okay, talk to the mic.
And now I'm post-op.
No, but transgender means somebody who could be one or the other.
Yeah.
But once you are operated, you're definitely on the side of the woman. You're a woman now.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
a woman.
Yeah, yeah. So what you used to be, I used to be in India. Now I'm in England. My skin color hasn't changed.
It's a bit different.
Yeah,
but-
your
no,
journey
but
was a little bit easier than mine.
No, but I'm not Michael Jackson. Otherwise, I'd be white and I'd be sleeping with children myself.
I don't think it's that easy.
No, it's true. You either hear that. No, I mean that genuinely. A lot of my compatriots are here, but they still talk about home being India.
Yeah.
I was talking to a Polish guy. We train people. Let me do some plugging. AMPM 24/7 is an agency that teaches people to get into jobs. So I had this guy with a very strong Polish accent, and he couldn't say this and he couldn't say that, and this went on for some time. And I said, where were you born? Oh, I come from Poland. I said, and then we chatted. And he says, in my country. I said, stop. This is your country. You're white.
Yeah.
You don't get as much racism as me until you open your mouth, and they'll hate you. The way you talk, your English is atrocious. How long have you been in this country? 12 years. I said, why haven't you learned English, man? Or Geordie even.
Yeah.
So, people, when they hang on to the past. Now, Faye will chat with you, obviously. But if Faye didn't let go of the boy part of Faye, then it's... Why are they wolf whistling you all the time?
I think because I've got to keep my phone on because you haven't got one.
Okay. Boom, 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 boom.
It'll have to well.
No, I've got two phones, both are videoing, and you mean the studio phone. And the number to ring, if you wish to, is 07787 871 996. Let's get on with the show a little bit more before you ring. So I've blocked the telephone line for the minute because some clever people ring straight away. Faye, tell us about yourself. And Bessie, please jump in both feet anytime. Where were you born, like, roughly how long ago? Where? What?
I'm 27. I was born in County Durham. I was raised by my mum and dad, then mainly by my mum.
How many brothers and sisters?
I have